to run. Leave behind the said and done. Figure out what's to come. Reasons, all the bigger things I can't ignore. I'm not getting what I came here for. Gotta get ahead of something more. So I think I found a new way out, way beyond a shadow of doubt. 'Cause I can't breathe, and I guess I could be stronger now and leave it up to fate somehow. But I'm doing this for me. Give it up, baby, you're not fooling anyone. Always going on and on. Can't you keep it to yourself for once? Oh, I think I found a new way out, way beyond your shadow of doubt. And I can't breathe. Oh, I hope you're keeping count of all the times you let me down, and all the things you said out loud, the bullshit I could cry about. And I know we could be stronger now and leave it up to fate somehow. But everything I do for me.
I get lost sometimes and I can't seem to find a light between the walls I built for myself right in my mind. And then you came over and you showed me love that I never had seen before. And now when I got you, it's all gonna be alright. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put the fire out. You can turn it all around. You can lift me off the ground so we can fly again, so we can fly again. Trying hard not to go out of my mind. And all I need right now is for you to stay the night. But if you keep saying that you've got to leave, then I'm gonna be alright. As long as you tell me that we ain't running out of time. Thinking about all the things we did tonight, what a time to be alive. Just you and I, just you and I. Only you can put my fire out. You can turn it all around. And you can lift me off the ground so we can fly again, so we can fly again. So we can fly again.
teens. Time dilation is a law of nature.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Simplay Motorsport. Here for your GT3 action on this Thursday night, the Pro Series here at Sakitto. What a night of action we've got left. 6 rounds remain, 162 points left on offer, with a 79-point difference between Andy and Unorthodox, 100 between Fury and Unorthodox, who is just hanging on in there ever so slightly. I'm Matthew Duffin, and in your commentary box tonight there's no sweet and sticky, but we've got a very special guest, and he's decided to stay at Suzuka. He could have travelled to Fuji last night with the team, but he stayed at Suzuka. It's Kieran Argent. Kieran, well, commiserations last night, but we're here tonight, fresh night. What are we looking forward to?
It's been an interesting battle. I'd say it wasn't my night last night, but yeah, interesting to see what the progress can do.
Sakitto then, very, very difficult track, as you experienced last night. A lot of guys seem to make a lot of errors last night. What was the biggest error for yourself before all the dramas happened?
Before we had an incident in halfway for race 1, I was consistently 45. I've been working on that consistency and obviously improving the gap to Nicky behind or maintaining behind. But I think after that incident, my mind wasn't redness, as they say.
Tricky conditions, well, I say tricky conditions, evening conditions, although it looks more night time because of the fact that we're in the autumn and the night conditions come in a bit quicker here. So it will get dark very quick. The practice session's pretty much the only bit of light, practice qualifying, the only bit of light you'll see around the circuit is the Ferris wheel's already lit up. 11 drivers out there. We are currently missing Phil, Disco, Gary, Mazda and Liam, and we hope we can get them boys in as we go at the minute. But so far, what is going to happen in this Pro Series? Because Dan has kind of dominated this series, Kieran, at the moment. 79-point gap back to Andy. Where does he go from here? Because he's got 6 races left. Can wrap it up as early as next week. Will equal Gary on a 2-time championship. What's Dan's plan tonight? Is it wins, wins, wins? Or is it just bagging them points in? Because he's back on the wheel, and let's not forget, 2 weeks ago he was in hospital having an operation.
Yeah, like I said in most night reviews this season, I'm just focusing on the next person. So he will be challenges Andy. So my aim would be to be in and around Andy to minimise the points loss if he is behind him.
Fury as well, just hanging on in there. Yuri's former teammate, as we go on board him now. Yuri's former teammate and is the defending Pro-Am champion. What a season this guy's had, Kieran. Coming up from the Pro-Am and being on the pace and still being in that hunt for the title.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd say I think that season in Pro-Am's probably helped him more than what he thinks, because, as I say, he's got the year in the Merc behind him with not so horrible but lesser competition than there is in Pro, and obviously he's come up to Pro and show what he can do.
Who else do you look for out there tonight? We have got drivers on double points as well, actually. Mazda, Liam, Monkey Boy, and Emo Guy, and I do believe there was one more. Just looking at it. Where are we? Yep, and Mazda, Monkey Boy, Phil. But obviously we know Phil at the moment. We don't know if he's going to be in, or Liam, or Mazda as of yet. And yeah, what are we looking forward tonight, though, Kieran? Who do we think? Which car do we think is going to be the best? Which manufacturer do we think is going to take the most wins or qualifyings tonight? Which driver are we looking at as being outstanding?
I can see the Lamborghini Sati Apex doing well around here, because I think it has the lap record, if I'm not mistaken, around the circuit. Like I said to you off air or in the week, that I think that the first half of the track is a Renault type circuit or twisting turns, but the second half of the lap is power, like a Mercedes track. So it's going to be to and fro in, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on what happens through this one. And I'm just going to quickly go through the championship standings. But before I do that, if the Mercedes-Benz can manage to get 2 pole positions tonight, then it will be 50 pole positions for the Mercedes-Benz AMG class on 48 at the moment. Currently 8 pole positions in the Pro, 40 in the Pro-Am, but can the Pro boys get it at 2 extra pole positions so far? The BMW M6 of Andy, 18 pole positions in the Pro. What a job that has done. But going into the standings at the moment then, 162 points left in the driver's title, 282 left in the constructor's title, 54 points on offer tonight, and 94 in the team's championship. It's Dan who leads the way, 79 points clear of Andy. And really, Andy's really got to hope for a miracle if he's going to catch him. Fury still mathematically possible, 100 points behind, but again needs a miracle to get down, to get towards Dan. BT Targa is then fourth after a great week. This guy's teammate, who is sitting in fourth place, just ahead of Disco. Gary then is in sixth. He's only 3 points behind Disco as well, so can leapfrog him tonight with no Disco out there. Sooty Apex is P7. He's not far off the back of them two either, and he started to come to the front as Sooty. A couple of podiums and a win this season, and it's nice to see Sooty back up on the top step and back in the podium. It's been a while, especially that year out in the Acura that he has taken. Xmart then is P8 at the moment. He's just ahead of Little Each and D-Biggs by 1 and 2 points, so a good little battle for 8th, 9th and 10th here. As we go down towards Peaceful and 126, he's quite the margin off the back, some 41 points off the back of D-Biggs, and that's going to be a lot for Peaceful to catch up. Monkey Boy on double points, he's 12th on 86 points, Phil on 58, Mazda 39, Jamie Brazier 25, Emo Guy 12, and that Buzzy Boy 7. And in the team's title, it's Shake and Bake on 555, 49 clear of Slingshot Motorsport. Team Prolapse then are in third. Mathematically possible for them to win it still as well, as we see Dan there have a huge spin out the exit to Spoon. They're 177 points back. Leachy Losers are 193 back, still in with a shout of their third Constructors title. Wakasaki Racing, thanks to Fury, are still mathematically in for the Constructors title as well. They're some 52 points clear of Run Flat Racing, who are about 29 points ahead of GQ Motorsport, who are ahead of Simplay Racing, Iron Brew Racing and the Iron Brewers. No 100 appearances tonight, no 50th appearances tonight, but for Little Each and Peaceful Explosion, they go to 99 and 98, provided they make both race starts tonight. What an occasion that will be for them. For this man, Emo Guy, he is on race start number 45 and can get to that 47 mark, and he'll be at his 50th come Bathurst, as would Mazda, Nicky and Alfie. But Kieran, DJ Phil brought the 100 mark up last night. Peaceful and Little Each will get that one next week at Fuji. What an honour to make 100 race appearances.
Yeah, it shows the commitment some drivers do have. Fury going wide there. As I say, I've pretty much only missed 1 or 2 weeks since Simplay started, and I'm miles behind those guys. That just shows the effort some of the guys putting in racing, not only just Wednesday, Thursday, but Mondays and Fridays as well. Yeah,
and Peaceful and Little Each have done 13 races on a Monday and a Friday night, so it's not like they've done a massive amount. Phil's done 13 and an extra 5, so the majority of that coming from the GT3 season. You're obviously on 81 race starts yourself, but obviously missed last week, which would have put you on 83. You missed 3 last season, which would have put you on a few more as well. But next season, 100th appearance for yourself. Is that a mark you look at, Kieran, as a driver? And I think I asked Liam this question last week. These personal milestones, do you look at them and think what an achievement, or what does it mean to you as a driver?
To be honest, I've not really thought about it, to be honest with you. Because of say, I'm here to not only have fun, but also be competitive and be aiming for the championships, like I have done in previous seasons with the team's constructors. But yeah, it shows the commitment that I say some people in the longevity of being here at Simplay.
Yeah, exactly that one. And Dan has 20. Oh, excuse me, dropping the keyboard. Dan has 23 wins to his name over Jamie's 22. Fury is only 4 wins behind Jamie. So can Fury get them 4 wins by the end of this season and maybe just make a mark on the back end of this season onto the other drivers out there and be the second most? Have the second most amount of wins here at Simplay Motorsport. 5.5 minutes left of the practice session though, Kieran, and it is the Mercedes-Benz of Fury who is currently setting the pace. Xmart and Peaceful not separated by a lot. Emo Guy's currently 4th, BT's 5th, D-Biggs is 6th, who has struggled this season, Kieran, for that bit of consistency that we saw last year. He just hasn't had it the same.
Who was that, sorry?
D-Biggs.
D-Biggs. Yeah, no, I don't know whether it's some external away from racing that's maybe affecting him. I'm not sure if he had a little one towards the end of last season, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not too sure.
I might get confused with someone else, but something's obviously not right. Maybe it's the cold conditions he's not got grips with, or what, I couldn't tell you.
So Unorthodox down in 11th place at the minute. Is that just sandbagging or what? Not sure. Monkey Boy struggling Monkey Boy and Peaceful this year, they've been the two that have struggled, Kieran, haven't they, this year? Monkey Boy in particular. What do we feel that they need to do to make that, to stay in pro maybe next year, to maybe make that step up the championship in pro? Do they need to drop the Mercedes, or what do they need to do?
I don't think the Mercedes is a bad car, because if they like the Fury, and if you're showing it can be up there.
Yeah.
Again, it's a hard one to say, because I know we set up, me and Peaceful, me and Monkey Boy tend to go opposite ways, looking at times in practice. Peaceful sorry was quicker than I was, so it just makes me a bit worried about if I do manage to get up to pro next season, where I'm going to be sitting in the table.
As Dan then just puts it into second place then, with not long to go left in this session then, who can do what in the qualifying, though the practice counts for nothing, it all is down to who's going to do what. It's Gary there, look very, very wide through Degner 1 and into Degner 2, and we're missing a few corners tonight, aren't we? We're missing the hairpin and we're missing the chicane at the very end that you'd see on F1. So it's a bit of a different sort of GP layout here at Sakitto.
Yeah, it didn't take long to learn for me personally. As I say, I had a week off last week, didn't come back till Monday night, Tuesday. So I pretty much had to learn the track in a day, a bit, maybe, give or take. But once you sort of know the layout and the couple of tricky points on the circuit, I thought it was quite a nice track.
Yeah, it has a nice flow to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was saying to Rabbit Joe last night in the team communication that I wouldn't mind coming back here, and then obviously what happened, and maybe not.
I thought the racing was brilliant. I'd love to see it back. I think it was absolutely fantastic. As Fury and Exmart in the pits, here comes Gary then. Was wide at Degner 1. Is he going to be up on his time then as he comes down the start line with the part where the Renault may struggle this final sector, and he doesn't improve, down by 4 seconds, so no improvement for Gary there this time round, but he'll get another shot at it. Here comes Dan once again. He's going to get another bite at the cherry. In fact, he might get 2 shots at this, and is he going to put it any quicker? He does, half a second nearly, and just a tenth and a half off the back of Fury now, as Exmart in third and BT in fourth. Just 5 thousandths of a second off the back of his teammate in the pit lane. And Peaceful Explosion, what can he do? Andy down the order, down in 8th a little bit here. Peaceful Explosion area is coming through Degner 1. There's Andy as well, just coming through the first Degners. And look at the Ferris wheel, beautifully lit up in the background. As we say, good evening to Smithy, Fury's granddad Tony, Fury's mum as well. They're all here. And Fury's mum, while you're here, I've had the Christmas songs on this morning. So I hope you've backed me up and got the Christmas songs on yourself. But it's nice to see you both here. The Fury Massive, Peaceful Stepdad Ian Thompson is here as well. Dean Wasocki in the chat, as well as Peaceful Explosion himself and Bethany Duffin as well. And as Sutty made a mistake there, he's currently 3.9 off the pace, just behind Monkey Boy by 0.6 of a second. And Dan, whoa!
Saying that, it looked like Dan and Fatty actually come together then, just for a second.
I wonder if they did. I missed that one reading the comments. As Dan had a big snap though, coming through Degner 1.
Yeah, that corner, it depends on the setup of your car. I don't know what it is for the other manufacturers, but if in Mercedes, if you up the ride height slightly, you can take that curve quite aggressively, and it won't snap like it did there for Dan.
Interesting. Then we'll have to keep our eye on what the drivers have done then. Sutty's gone back to the pit, so he'll be done for practice. As here comes Monkey Boy, around 130 off. As Gary's just gone up into P9, so Gary and Little each struggling for pace at the moment, 2.5 to 2.7 seconds off the back of the leaders. And here comes Monkey Boy. Can he find any time himself on this lap? Andy's gone up to 6th himself. Monkey Boy goes up into P9, so he's gone back above Gary Little each and Sutty as well. As there we go then. Gary, who's this? That's Fury and I think Biggs. Is that Biggs?
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, it is D Biggs. Ooh, gets a bit slidey through turn 1 there. They're starting their final runs. Little Eat Sutty, Andy BTX Mart in the pits. Well, this is going to be interesting. Peaceful's in the top 5 here at the minute, Kieran, and that'll give him a bit of confidence. But he says it's all right in the practice. It's when he gets himself into the race that it feels different.
Yeah, not going to lie. Yesterday I watched the race 1 back on replay, and it was a lot slidier than I thought it was actually when driving the car. But sometimes you need that to get through the first sector, to get the car turned in a bit more.
Who's your tip for pole position here then, Kieran?
It's going to be between Fury and all Orthodox. I think it's going to be a tenth and a half 1.5 tenths between them. It's going to be a close one.
Yeah, I'm also going to be interested to see this man, because I've seen him in the 42s in practice earlier tonight. So what can he do as he comes across the line to finish his run? Does he improve? He does improve. Goes P3, 3 tenths off the back. So that throws a spanner in the works. Just Fury left to finish then. And he's a tenth up on his time as well here. So could he improve and get closer to that 42 dead? Tenth and a half up at the minute for Fury. Really chucks it through 130R, so that's brilliant. I had the Xmas songs on all day at work the other day. The Heart app section has where they're playing it 24/7. Oh, what an app to have for the Christmas songs. Honest, Fury comes to the line then and improves, does a 42.2. So Fury means the business at the minute, and it goes 3 tenths quicker than Unorthodox with Peaceful sat third. Can Peaceful Explosion finally get a good result here? We'll see in the 10-minute qualifying. Get your comments in the chat for who you think's going to take pole position. Hit that subscribe button if you are new, and like the channel, like the video as well. Hit that bell, the icon, to be notified of when we are live every Wednesday and Thursday until the new year, when we'll be back with a couple of new series. Back on one night of the week is going to be Formula 1, which will be a great one to do. I'm racing that one. Unorthodox is going to bring you the commentary on that one. I'm going to be racing that. Kieran, I don't know if you're planning on being out there for that one.
I haven't got the game yet, but we'll have to see
see what Santa brings you.
Yeah,
yes.
I was going to say that, but I don't know.
See what Santa brings. And we've also got our World Endurance Championship coming, and we are really excited for this one. This could be something quite special that we can bring to you then, as well as maybe a bit of ACC coming your way on a Monday night. But we'll have to keep you posted for that one then, as we have our GT3 Season 5 schedule out now. And for those drivers who are in the Discord and on the Facebook group, get signed up now for next season, starting in the new year. Get your registrations in for next season. Already 19 drivers signed back up, and then it'll be opened up to the public when the calendar's released. Obviously, these guys who's in the Discord group and on the Facebook group get themselves in. They can answer any questions in there, but we're going to get it published to other people when we have a calendar listed, which hopefully will be brought to you this weekend. So that'll be an interesting one to keep your eyes out. Gary's still in the pits, but he's coming out now as Xmart is the first man out on track. And Kieran, clear air, Dan was saying last night, is important, because every time a car got in the dirty air, it seemed to have a bit of a twit or a bit of a snap. So Xmart having that clear air could give him the best run in this first sector.
Yeah, I found that in race one last night. As I say, when I was out in front, I was comfortably, I wouldn't say comfortably, pulling away from
Nicky.
Eddie's teammate, Nicky, last night, and then obviously pit stops happened, and as I say, once I got back in traffic, the car did not feel the same.
So what can Xmart do then? Who's just behind him? I think it's Emo Guy. Probably just trying to just eat the team. It is, look, Emo Guy and Fury getting a lovely toe off of him. Into turn one they come. And turn one a bit trickier than I think F1. Because obviously these GT3s are different to the F1 cars, Kerry. They're just the dynamics seem a bit different.
On the outside. The one thing you don't want to do is touch the curb on the inside or the outside, because it will just send the car into a spin.
Hexmart then, first man out on track. Oh, we've got that Bozzy boy in. Here we go then. Now what can he do tonight? He's on double points. As this Emo Guy, as his Monkey Boy. And it's currently Andy who is purple in Sector 1 at this moment in time. There's not a lot of drivers gone through Sector 1. They're all starting to come through now. And Dan is about half a second slower than Andy through Sector 1 already. So Dan, maybe not on the outright pace, but we obviously know he had the operation 2 weeks ago as Xmart goes a bit deep into the entrance of Spoon.
Yeah, I think especially with the Merc last night, it does take a couple of laps to get up the tyres all up to temperature, brakes up to temperature, in order to get. I found my laps was quicker on the second lap than it was on the opening lap.
The more that you get in then in the 10 minutes, the better, you'd say?
Yeah. I'd last night done 2 runs. I think I broke it half and half.
Yep.
Maybe about 30 seconds to a minute's time, I jumped in the pits and then done a second run.
So that Bozzy boy gets himself in, and it's good to see that Bozzy boy back out there on the track. And we'd love to see him back more permanently. And will we indeed? As Fury then, a 43.2 straight out the block. Andy with a 42.9, so good little banker laps there from them two going in. And Fury knows in practice he gained a second on that. Dan and D-Biggs, are they trying the slipstream here? Because Dan's behind his teammate. And Dan goes P7, D-Biggs down in 4th, so Dan not having the best of outlaps there, the best of...
Gary's back in the pits.
Yeah, that's his BT target.
Oh, that's not really good, but no, wasn't Gary. Apologies.
Sutty's back in. Sutty's just gone 3rd, 4 tenths off the back, so good lap from Sutty here with a 43.3. Gary's 2.4 up on a 49.2, which is a bit of an outlap kind of time. And Peaceful's actually set the purple sector for the final sector here, but went P8, so obviously didn't have a great run through the first sector. Gary, lovely clear track in front. You see the two shake and bake Porsches coming out towards the Techners in the background as he drops downhill now to come across the start line. Where is Gary going to find himself? Goes P10.
3 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, got some work to do that Renault has, hasn't it, really? Looking at the sector times now, no improvement for X-Mart in Sector 1. But Andy was purple in Sector 1, goes green through Sector 2. So interesting to see Andy currently setting another purple sector here, a 33.220 in that first sector. And here comes X-Mart. He was up in his middle sector, but no improvement in the first sector. What does he do as he comes to the end of the lap? And he improves by 6 tenths and puts himself into P4. But Fury in the background has done a 42.7, goes back to the pits. Andy crosses line, does a 42 dead. So what a lap from Andy, the quickest lap we've seen tonight. And Andy then setting the benchmark in qualifying. Does the M6 have another pole in it? What can D-Biggs do? Personal best, personal best. Any improvement for Biggs here? Goes a 10th quicker, but that's not enough to move him from P7 at the moment. Here comes Little Leach. Nothing in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2. What can he find as he comes to the start line? Andy and Emo Guy find themselves in the pits. They need to get out relatively sharpish if they're going to put a lap in. A Little Each crosses line 2 seconds down, and no improvement for him there then.
Who's coming up to do a lap? I want to try and run for a lap from my point of view last night.
Yeah. Sutty is, look, Sutty's just come to 130. I'll let you do his lap.
So I'll let him get to the start line before I'll give you my thoughts on the track from last night.
Jump on board, go on the roof, Cam.
Get the settings right. So coming into turns 1 and 2, apologies I don't know the names. Braking about here, so in the Merc would be try not to touch a curb because they just unsettle the car. Short, sharp straight, quick king from the right hander. And this is where it gets tricky, especially in the Merc. Say constant left, right, left. But as you approach this next left, the car in front of us, the rear goes light on this corner, so you've got to be extra careful coming out the corner, otherwise you lose the rear end. Coming up to 2 Degners, I think we called them before.
Yep.
Straightforward, don't touch the curb on any of these curves really, you don't want to touch. But he seems to get away with it there. Also here, like before, the rear does go light over the crest. But again, stay away from the curbs. And then coming up to Spoon Curve, this is the corner I struggled with most last night, especially getting the car slowed down, but I found I had a lot of understeer, drifting me out wide over this curve into the gravel. Nicely negotiated there. And then down this long back straight, coming up to 130R. And you don't want to, you can sort of run the inside curve, but you don't want to touch the outside curve, as I found in race 2. It just puts you into the wall on the outside. And then turn in and hope it sticks. And don't run off wide. And there's a lap.
Yeah, there is a lap of Sakitto then on board Sutty, and every time you said don't touch the curb, Sutty decided to just use every single bit of them. as he comes across. And Peaceful, BT and Xmart in the pits. They will not get out for another run. Neither will Fury then. So does this give Andy pole? Dan is down in 12th. That Bozzy boy only, about half a second, just nearly over a second behind him. But Dan here on a personal best kind of lap. And is this going to move him up bar 12th and losing out to both of his rivals at the moment? Dan looks like he's had a moment somewhere because he's got a bit of damage on the front of that Porsche, and he goes P7, but still a second and a half off the back. Gary really struggling for pace, as his Little Leech and Monkey Boy. And D-Biggs drops himself down to 9th place now. Emo Guy's in the pits, he's done. Gary might be the last one to get a lap in. Who's behind him? Can't really tell. Yellow lights, I reckon that's the BMW of maybe Andy then. But Gary here, personal best sector 1, nothing in sector 2. He comes to the line now. What's it going to be? It is going to be a better lap. 2.6 seconds puts him up to 8. Does Andy find anything here? No, 22 seconds down. That must have been an out lap then. Who's just behind? Can't tell. I think it was Little Leech, was it? It was, and he stays P11, so he will be the first man done. So who's coming up to Spoon Corner? D-Biggs, I think it was. Or Sooty. No, so it's not D-Biggs. Is it that Bozzy boy coming up to Spoon? Not seeing that Bozzy boy on the track yet. It is that Bozzy boy, and he's 1 second up here. It's nice to see Liam back out on the track and back in there, and hopefully he gets that spark back and gets onto the form we saw him in last season and in the Pro-Am. He comes through 130 on and really slings one in. He's managed to not run too far out wide there and keeps it together a bit nicer. But green through sectors 1 and 2, and down the hill he comes in qualifying. Here comes that Bozzy boy. Can he improve on his time at the moment? He does improve, stays P13, but does improve, and it's nice to see that Bozzy boy back out there on the track at the moment. So where is then Monkey Boy? Here comes Dan. Can he improve on his time? Monkey Boy's in the pit, so he's not going to improve. But what can Dan do? He goes second. Great time at the end.
Gary's down.
Yeah, Gary looks like he's done. It's Little Leech that's still out there and must be up on his time because he was personal best sector 1. But it's going to be then, you'd imagine, Andy for pole position here. His 6th pole of the season. You can't see anybody touching that. Fury looks like he's set for a P3. And it's Andy then, Little Leech to finish their laps. Emo Guy then looks like he's going to get a P9 here, depending on what Little Leech can do. Andy goes even quicker, a 141.8. Here comes Little Leech. Can he get anything at the very end? No, he can't. Stays in P11 then. So it's Andy on pole from Dan in 2nd place. Fury then is P3. P4 goes the way of Peaceful Explosion. Good qualifying for him. BT Targa will start 5th place with his teammate Xmart in P6. Gary, only a 7th place for him. Looks like he's struggling in that Renault. Emo Guy, Gary's in 8th, Sooty is in 7th place. Emo Guy starts in 9th place there then, with D-Biggs in 10th. And again, D-Biggs just struggling out there. Little Leech, though, in P11. Monkey Boy 12th. And that Bozzy boy down in 13th place. But great to see Liam back out there. Great to see the lads out there on their laps. Kieran, Andy in the 31s in qualifying. What a stellar effort.
That's definitely a quick lap. We didn't see nothing near that in time last night. I think it's 2 seconds quicker at least than what we measured last night in Pro-Am. It shows the skill of the pro drivers.
And this is Andy's 6th pole of the year, and that's his 18th pole overall here at Simplay Motorsport. And he is 1 pole position away from tying that of Big Boy Brazier's 19 pole positions to his name. So Andy then starting to get closer in terms of what he can do against Jamie Brazier in a qualifying scenario. And for Andy, that extra point at the moment will really help his cause, and will really go for it then. So he's now not 79 points behind. He is now 78 as the drivers are lining up on the grid, Kieran. And it's great to see that Bozzy boy back out there. Really nice to see him back on the track. We hope he's found that motivation that he had last season and get that spark back. We know he's had a tricky year with working in college and things. Got Disco in the chat saying, go Andy. Shame Disco can't be out there. 142G, says Smithy. Peaceful 3rd. Go on, Peaceful Sooty. Go on, boys. Pull that out, N-Dubs. And come on, Peaceful, get that podium. Let's go, Fury, says Justin Williams. And good luck, everyone, says Peaceful. Says Ian Thompson in the chat. And we're getting ready then to sync up here. But at the moment, who is going to be the man to do the job? Because it is Andy versus Dan, front row of the grid. Fury sits in third place. And Fury in that third spot could mean the difference.
Turn 1, because the launch that Mercedes should get over the Porsche and the BMW could make it 3 wide by the time it gets to turn 1, and it's not the easiest to turn 1.
It isn't, no, and that's the next thing, isn't it? Peaceful, what kind of position is he in at turn 1? What kind of thing does he do? Does he go for it? Does he hold back a little bit? He's got nothing to lose. He's got everything to gain. And we're going to go green here then. It's green. Now it's go. And like you said, Fury gets a great launch. Dan, a bit bogged down off the line and doesn't get a race. Well, she says race on, and indeed it is. Fury already ahead of Dan. And he's challenging Andy, who's already defended Dan. Around the outside, Fury and Andy. Bit of a nudge then as Fury goes a little wide. But they all look like they're relatively through. That Bozzy Boy's already up to 10th from the back of the grid. It's a good start for him. X-Mart's had a bit of a shocker. He's the only one who's not got away relatively well, but so far Andy and Fury get the job done over Dan, and Peaceful stays 4th. Gary up into 5th place. Sooty 7th as well. Gary's now up to 4th as Peaceful then. What's happened? Oh, there's carnage in the background, and that's Fury. Fury's one of the guys who's off, and Little Each now up to 3rd. Peaceful's dropped to 4th. Biggs is 5th. Monkey Boy's up to 6th. That Bossy Boy's dropped down to 13th, so not sure what happened there. But there's X-Martin, BT, and Emo Guy as well. And we missed that one, but what a crazy moment up the S's then, and it's Little Each who's now in 3rd place, but he's way off the back of these two, and Dan can just steadily go about his business and follow Andy home, Kieran.
Yeah, that's what Dan needs to do. In the championship, as I say, he's got that gap to Andy, and he doesn't need to win the race, he just needs to follow him home, as I say.
Oh, poor old Peaceful. He'd have no luck if he had any luck, because he's all the way back down in last place. And what has happened then to him? He's 21 seconds off the lead. Fury's now dropped to P12, so he's had another moment then, as that Bozzy Boy is on the back nearly of Sooty Apex, and so he has gone from the back of the grid. That's Gary who's had a moment, and Liam's going side by side with Gary then, and Liam, you reckon, should out drag that Renault down the straight. Tucks in, thinks better of it, and he's on the grass a little bit there. Come on, Liam, you've got the better of him in a straight line. Tucks back in behind Gary now, but look at this Emo Guy prolapse of X-Mart or BT, and D Biggs. Round goes Biggs, round goes Emo, and I think Sooty avoided him narrowly, but look at the guys coming round 130R, just managing to avoid him. Gary's now on the back of Sooty Apex. Liam not that far behind, but Emo Guy, Andy Biggs already down. Fury's down to 13th, ahead of just behind Peaceful Explosion. Pit window opens lap 4, and Fury's had a nightmare opening lap, Kieran.
Yeah, it looks familiar from Fury's coming in.
Yeah, he's coming in. He's going to have to pit again at this as well.
Quite similar to my race 2 last night, opening lap of race 2. Just couldn't keep it on the track.
Dan now has the gap out front under a second. Little Each and Monkey Boy, he must be loving this up in P4 at the moment. Dan then hunting down his championship rival. Fury pretty much out the game in this first race. What can he do race 2 at the moment then? Little Each still going in 3rd with Monkey Boy now just dropped down to P4 as X-Mark's got past him. Where is Monkey Boy? There he is there with BT Targa now on the rear of him. Smithy says, you gotta love this track for the drama. Indeed you have. And as it stands a minute, Gary's got past Sooty then for 7th place, for 7th and 8th. But BT Targa looking on the back of Monkey Boy here. Monkey Boy on double points tonight, as was Emo Guy and that Bozzy Boy. And that Bozzy Boy's on the back of Sooty. Sorry, Kieran.
Back to that 130R incident, I'm not sure if there was contact between the... I think
one of the prolaps against Emo, yeah. It looked it, didn't it, as Monkey Boy then just running over the curb a little bit wide. Here comes, BT Targa now. He's got the run, he's got that momentum out of Spoon, but has he got enough? Can Monkey Boy do what DJ Phil did last night and go round the outside? Look at the Mercedes grunt then in the straight line, and Monkey Boy backs out of that one, can't get it done there. When is the F1 sign-ups? That'll be coming in the new year, Phil, or over Christmas at least, so keep your eyes out for them. X-Mart into 4th, BT's now 5th, Monkey Boy 6th place, and Gary's dropped back down to 9th. That Bozzy Boy's dropped down to 12th place. So what has happened to them two then?
Yeah, Emo Guy's currently running with no headlights, so he should really be coming into the pits as per rules and regs.
Is he waiting for that lap 4 to get his pit stop out the way altogether? I wonder. But don't forget, we could be seeing things here. Fury's that's a shocking pit stop for Fury, and he has had A nightmare pit stop there, and he's going to have to hope and pray that he can pull some points back. Liam then running 12th, and the Wakasaki Racing boys struggling in this one. But Dan out front, slowly but surely, starting to gain onto the back, and it's been the Dan and Andy show all season, and it's been Dan who's had the better hand of Andy majority of this season. Hence why he's leading the championship as big as he is. And Andy just over the curb there in the BMW. Doesn't look too bad in the dry conditions. Looks a good car. But Dan now has a run. He's been forced to the outside line though as they come up towards Spoon Corner. And Andy just a little later on the brakes. Oh, he's deep at Spoon. Does Dan get a cutback? He has, you know, up the inside of the second part of Spoon. But what can the BMW do? Round the corner, the Beamer goes. They lean on each other. And a bit of a wiggle from both of them there. And Dan tucks back in the background and lets Andy go with that one then. But these two, Kieran, racing hard already.
Yeah, it's good racing from both drivers, and say giving respect to one another, especially with the high curbing. Any one pushed onto the other would have ended catastrophe.
It could have indeed. Sutty then in 6th place. Can he hunt down Monkey Boy? But Dan is trying to hunt down that BMW. And these cars pretty much both would be equal through Sector 1. But there's Sutty. Look, he's got Biggs gaining on the back of him. And we said the Lamborghini should be strong. It depends on what damage Sutty has. Stick with it, Fury, and keep going, Fury, says Smithy and Fury's mum. Indeed, he just get going to the end. Points mean prizes at the end of the day. And Sutty then ahead of D Biggs. Little Leach, third. Had to look twice at Smithy in the chat. And Dan once again gaining on the back of Andy here. Coming through the S's towards the Degners. Andy's BMW just looks a bit more planted than Dan's through there, Kieran.
Yeah, say sometimes it helps with a looser car to get them around the twisty bit, but as I say, it's just making sure you keep it in check when you need to.
So into the Degners they come now then. Going to do the F1, says DJ Phil. Brilliant. It'd be nice to see you out there, Phil. And into the Degners they come now. Andy and Dan, both through them. 2 different lines through there, but both running the exit curb as much as possible. And Dan's gone. He's lost it out of the Degner too. On the short straight up the hill, Dan's lost the rear of the Porsche. He's managed to get it going, but Little Each is now going to take P2. And poor old Dan there was just gaining on the back of Andy. And was that a case of the dirty air plus the running over the curbs? As Kieran said, the curbs can be lethal around here. But Dan down to 3rd place. We'll have X-Mark gaining on him as well. It's not a catastrophe in terms of the championship, but it's just a few more points lost at the minute.
It's not so bad the further down you go, but as I say, I think it's a 10-point loss. Dan's going to suffer at this point as it's flagged to go out now.
Yeah, so 10 points. So that'll take the gap down to 68 after race 1. 13 drivers started this race, which means the top 6 cannot qualify for race 2. As Sutty then has lost out to D Biggs. Can he get that place back? He's going to have Gary breathing down his neck once again in a minute. There's Peaceful as well. That's Emo Guy trying to gain on Gary, and Peaceful trying to gain on Emo Guy. Liam going round in P12 at the minute, but it's just nice to see Liam back out there then. And Fury currently a lap down and struggling at the moment. And for Unorthodox then, what does he do? He's got pressure now. He's already had 1 spin.
Luckily kept it out of the wall.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. If he'd have put it in the wall, that would have been game over. But the pit window's opened now, Kieran. We've passed the end of lap 4. So the pit window's open and Peaceful's taking advantage of that.
Yeah. I think if you're near the back, you've got nothing to lose. As I say, whenever I've been at the front of races in race 1 or race 2, I've tried going as long as possible to avoid the traffic coming out again.
Yeah.
But whereas if you're at the back, you've not got that worry you're going to come out in traffic because you are further back.
Yeah. What does Liam do? Does Liam pit as well? Not quite sure where Liam is on track, but at the minute, no, he's not. He's staying. Oh, I bet he wished he'd pitted now because he's had a problem through the final corner. And Liam actually got a 2nd place here in the GTE series. So Liam knows the track relatively well, but he gets himself ahead of Emo Guy then. And will he get ahead of Peaceful? Peaceful's on his way out the pits. He does just, but he's now up to P10. But he's got to pit. Fury's got to pit again, don't forget, as well, to comply with the rules and regs. Now Dan on the back of Little Each. He's gained up to him a bit quickly, hasn't he? Because Little Each now coming under pressure from the Porsche at the part of the track where the Renault's going to struggle, and Dan's going to look, into 130R on the inside, and they flash each other, and Dan up the inside, and Little Each forced to just get out of that one. Dan though across the curb, risky to do so, but Manny just hold it back and comes across the front of Little Each, but that Porsche has got enough power to get ahead and get through. Emo Guy's now a lap down on Andy. And might become a lap down on these guys. Possibly, yeah, it might have been as he's flashing again there. He's had a flash for Emo Guy to say that the leaders are there. Emo guy's well in front at the minute, so obviously the back markers don't have to get out of the way here at Simplay Motorsport. They just have to bounce off the pit wall into the side of you.
No comment.
So it's Andy from Unorthodox, Little Each, X-Mart, BT Targa, Monkey Boy still running P6 ahead of D-Big, Sooty, Gary, Peaceful, that Bozzy Boy, Emo Guy, and then Fury then as Gary comes into the pits at the end of lap 5. And what can he do now? Who's he hoping to undercut? Will Peaceful get the undercut on Gary? Bumpy pit lane then, where the pit boxes are. That's what got you the one-place grid penalty yesterday, Kieran. It's very bumpy where the garages just drop off. And can Gary have a good pit stop?
Yeah,
There's D-Biggs.
Sorry, my game glitched out last night. I literally come out of the pits in about 2 car heights up from where it would normally be on the road. And I landed and it gave me a one-place grid penalty. So whether it's done me for travelling down in gravity, I don't know.
Gary's out of the pit then, so Peaceful didn't get the jump on him, but is a bit closer. Dan has got Little Each, so we saw that a moment ago. And now Little Each will have to struggle about X-Mart behind because he's lost the back of Dan. BT Targa lapping just as quick as the two leaders in the 44s then, and what can he do in this race? It's going to be a crucial one for him.
Yeah, the field seems rather spread out at the moment. There's 2 or 1 to 2 second capturing everyone at the minute.
Yeah, Liam's into the pits as well at the end of lap 5, so he's come in. He now goes a lap down as well. He'll be starting his 6th lap in just a moment, but into the pits comes that Bozzy Boy. Oh, missed his pit box here as well, so not the best of stops for Liam. Will that see Fury get in front? But Fury's got to pit again as well, but before the end of lap 14. As the lollipop's up for Liam now, we see X-Mart starting to gain on Little Each, although he was 2 attempts down on the last lap. Can BT gain on his teammate as well? Monkey Boy on double points. He's being caught slowly but surely by D-Biggs. And then Sooty, the last of the guys who's not pitted. Gary, Peaceful, Emo, Fury and that Bozzy Boy have all pitted then. And Liam's heading out the pit lane now as Little Each still third. Couple of seconds ahead of X-Mart. Dan still in second place, 9 seconds off the lead and gaining on Emo Guy here. But for Dan, he's already made that one mistake and that'll be in the back of his mind. Lap 7 of 20.
Nearly a second quicker than Andy last lap as well.
Yeah, Dan's flying and Dan's got this pace in him, but didn't look great in practice and qualifying. Looked like he kept making mistakes and put the lap in at the end as Emo Guy gets well out the way at Spoon, and that's allowed Dan to come through. And job done for Dan then. So he's cleared Emo Guy. Andy's up on his Delta again. We know Andy's got pace, and Andy's looked a lot better this year in the BMW than the Ginetta last year. For Little Each, P3 at the moment, a podium for the Renault. Good shout for the Leachy losers. Who was the Leachy Legends, who was Leach Motorsport. One of the oldest teams on the grid, and that's Dan! Oh, and Little Each! Oh, wow! Holy moly!
Not a bad shout from Little Each, yeah?
And into the pits he comes. Timed it beautifully, did Little Each there. But what happened to Dan? And that has really caught Little Each out, who pits at the end of lap 7, as does X-Mart there. Tried to avoid a spinning unorthodox, and that was outstanding. That was an outstanding flip. I'd give him a 10 in the gymnastics for that. That's a gold medal, Little Each. Onto his wheels, and into the pits he goes. D-Biggs comes into the pits as well. So where will Gary come out around D-Biggs? But Dan, though, Kieran, looks like he's got some hefty damage to that Porsche. And I said he's got mistakes in him.
Yeah, that last corner, a bit of a funny one, because I say, if you keep it flat, especially as the race goes on, the car just wants to understeer wide. And maybe Dan's had a moment and tried correcting it, and it just got worse by the oncoming traffic.
Little Each then is out the pits. Now, if that's repaired his damage, that is good going, and he's not had much damage because he's come out the pits and he's stayed ahead of D-Biggs and Monkey Boy. So good stop. His lights are back on. So I suppose that's a bonus, but holy moly was that an accident there. And he's just behind X-Mart here, so he's lost actually to X-Mart in the pit lane as X-Mart's pitted as well. That's how you enter the pit, says Smithy in the chat. But what an effort that was. Good job he didn't start rolling down the straight there and drive. Have to do a whole lap with big damage, because that could have been dangerous. That could have been nasty. But Gary on the back of Biggs. Was Sooty in the pits at the end of that lap? Did Sutty pit? Someone in the chat, was Sutty Apex in the pits? Yes, he was, because I've just looked back on my replay. So yes, Sutty was in the pits, and he's lost out to Peaceful Explosion. So that answers that question. And Sutty pitted as well. And Dan, as we expect, comes straight into the pits. So it is now just Andy left to pit in this race. Sorry, and Fury and BT Targa left to pit in this race. Fury's obviously got to pit again due to pitting before the pit window. That's the rules in the Pro. And Xmart then, what can he do? Up to fourth now. Net second place, but net third place. We imagine he could go into second because Dan has got some big damage on that car. Although he's coming out, Kieran, so that's a relatively good stop from the Shake and Bake boys. Maybe just more aero.
Potentially just mechanical damage or just aero damage.
I'm not sure. That car looks pretty clean to me, although it looks a bit crumbled up on the front end. We'll have to see. But where's Xmart? That's him there. So Xmart just behind then. As Fury comes in at the end of lap 8 as well. So it's just BT Targa and Andy that hasn't pitted. But at the minute, Dan's holding on to a second place at least. Maybe he'll drop to third because of BT getting him in the pits. But Dan, what will he be thinking now, Kieran? 2 mistakes in this race, 1 big one. What will be going through his head?
Just needs to try and maybe calm himself down. I don't know if he's overdriving the car, just trying to catch up to the guy in front. But if it was me, I'd be trying to take third place. Just keep it consistent and take what you've got.
Yeah. Into P3 he goes on lap 9 of 10, so we're nearly at the halfway stage of this first race of the night. Round 19, Liam finds himself back in the pits. That's a shame for that Buzzy boy. But he's back in the pit lane. I'm sure he's just out there getting the track experience once again. Gary then has Peaceful Explosion gaining on the back of him. Sutty's just dropping off the back of these two. This for 8th, 9th at the moment. D-Big's trying to catch Monkey Boy a bit further forward as Little Each and Xmart are trying to get on the back of Dan. But at the minute, Peaceful, who qualified P4. Let's not forget, and he's lost the rear coming up the hill out the Degners, and round he goes.
That's what I was saying in the lap guide. Up the rear just wants to step out.
Oh, Fury! Wow! And he's kept it going. Well, that's the way to do it, isn't it? Peaceful, luckily he moved there because Peaceful nearly got wiped out by Fury there then. But he's lost out to Sutty and drops well off the back of Gary now. But it's unorthodox. Gaining on Liam, that Buzzy boy, and a flash of lights from down there to say, you know, I'm coming, mate, just stay out the way. But Liam, he's not really close enough, is he, yet, for Liam to pull out the way and move over. But the back markers don't have to move, and Dan just giving Liam a flash. Oh, Liam's dropped it and rolls backwards out the way. Nicely done.
Maybe that's why Dan will flash, and he knows the Merc struggles in that first sector.
Yeah, potentially so. Back markers obviously don't have to get out of the way, so Dan's flashing, but he doesn't have to move. Go Team Prolapse, says Nicky in the chat. BT second, yet to pit. Xmart fourth, has pitted. And what can these boys do now then? Xmart, here he comes, P4. Over the curb he goes there then. And round to chase Dan down again. 2.5 seconds, he's got 3.5 back to Little Each. Monkey Boy's got D-Biggs and Gary coming on the back of him. Monkey Boy's having a solid start to this race, though, Kieran. A better race than he's had for a while.
Yeah, I wasn't able to catch last week due to being away, but I say, the Mercedes of Monkey Boy and Peaceful Explosion seem to have struggled more this season than maybe in previous.
Yeah,
and
this is why we say is the Merc for them in the winter. We know it's a good summer car, and they did well last year in the summer, but is it for them in the winter? That's the problem, isn't it, I suppose?
The talent or the skill of the drivers has improved as well.
Yeah. I mean, they've got the pace, haven't they? They've shown they've got the pace to be up there. Peaceful qualifying fourth on the grid. But that Merc, as you saw a moment ago, just starting to hurt him. Good spin, Fury. Lovely little pirouette. Great recovery. Come on, Fury, get your head in it, says Nicky in the chat, as well as Fury's granddad, Fury's mum, and Smithy. Andy then has an 18-second lead over BT Targa. Them two have both got to pit.
If I was Andy or BT, I'd probably go as long as I could before the pit window closes, just to make sure you've got less traffic. If you've got the pace to pull away from the traffic, you've got less chance of getting stuck in it and come out again.
As we say, evening to Audio Sport in the chat, and yeah, you're right, and we've lost Liam. So Liam backs out of that one then. He's probably had enough for the night, and that we'll probably not see him back for race 2 on his double points. What a shame then. So we're down to the 12 drivers. Andy, P12, lap 12, 19 and a half seconds in front. They've got to pit at the end of lap 14. So he's got this lap, he's got the next lap to pit. And what will he do from here on in? Kieran reckons go as long as possible, and that's not a bad tactic. Dan still has Exmart and Lidleach within 8 seconds of him. One drop from there, and that could all be game over for Dan. Chocolate Man, I missed the start again, he says. 8 p.m. GMT, Chocolate Man, get on it. I've still forgot to add you to the Discord. I'm still away from the PC at the moment. I'm still struggling to get back to the computer. I will get that done. Someone text me and remind me tomorrow. Exmart then, P4 at the minute. Hunting Dan down, 2 seconds is the gap. 5 seconds to Lidleach. Monkey Boy's 8 seconds back. Hi Nicky, good job last night, says Audio Sport, our lovely sponsor of Kelly. In the chat then, an Exmart on his way, 0.8 of a second down on his best lap, but not too bad. He was, in fact, he's got ahead of Dan. He has got ahead of Dan. Has Dan had another spin then? Dan struggling out there tonight. And that's dropped him down to 4th. And Gary's got past D Biggs, so his D Biggs had a moment as well. But Dan then down to 4th. Every point is being lost to his main championship rival. And the points for first is 25. The points for 4th is 13. So Andy's going to gain 12 points. 12 precious points in this title fight. And so far...
Dan after lost the car again on the last turn again.
Yeah. I wonder if he had a bit of a wiggle and got out of it again, because it wasn't too big. Andy's in. Peaceful. Oh no, his night's gone from bad to worse, because Peaceful's in. Andy's in at the end of lap 12. Peaceful's in. It's only BT Target left to pit. There is Andy. Nicky, well, I tried, mate. Had a few mishaps, but fought back. But but Fuji will destroy the other. We will destroy the others, says Nicky in the chat. Peaceful in. Andy's in and out. BT Target is in as well. So that is everybody pitted for this one. And they go on their way. Peaceful's race has just gone from bad to worse. Can Fury maybe get ahead of Peaceful? Peaceful down in 11th. Can qualify for race 2. And you tip Peaceful or Fury for the pole position in that one. As Exmart then. Third place. Dan's now hunting him down. And what can Exmart do? He's got to stay ahead of Dan. His teammates coming out the pits. I think BT Targa's done enough to stay ahead of him. He has, because out the pits he comes now. He'll start to get back up to speed. So it's a Prolapse 2-3 at the moment. Dan down in 4th place. Now, what's the plan? Because Dan is part of the Team Prolapse stable here. 21 people watching. Hit that subscribe button if you are new and like the video as well. Hit that bell icon to be notified. BT Targa and Exmart ahead of Dan. Prolapse back together next week, ready to kick ass, says Kelly in the chat. But Dan's full of mistakes tonight, so what's the conversation going to be here, Kieran? Because yes, he's part of the Prolapse stable, but he's made them mistakes where he's allowed himself to drop back to 4th. So if Prolapse was to help Dan out here, will Dan just bin it again?
I think Dan will want to get the position fair and square. I don't think he'd want the two in front to move out of the way, especially being a part of another team on the road. I know they're all part of Prolapse, but as I say, Dan is currently in part of Shake and Bake.
He is indeed. BT Targa then running 2nd place, 4 seconds up the road from Dan, who's right now on the tail of Exmart. We've seen him in the dirty air of Andy before. And will he make a mistake as they come into Spoon? Dan nice and easy through Spoon they go. They've just gained a little over BT Targa this past couple of corners. I'm praying for rain, Smith, he says Audio Sport for Fuji. The last time I looked, there was actually rain around for next week. And we've lost Fury then, and he hasn't got to 3/4 distance. So will not score a point. And that is quite bad for Fury in a way, because...
Oh, Exmart hit the curb and nearly come across Dan then.
That is Fury's 3rd retirement. So if Fury retires from 2 more races, he will lose 25 championship points.
Then that half here, I think. He's not giving it, mate.
I'm not sure now. Yeah, he's got it now. So Exmart's let Dan through after his wiggle through 130R. But Fury now cannot retire from 2 more races. If he retires from 2 more, he loses 25 championship points, and that could really hurt him in the fight for at least 3rd place. D Biggs then has Gary behind him again by 2 seconds here. So what's happened to Gary?
Gary was 2 seconds quicker last lap as well.
Yeah, so Gary must have made a mistake this time around. What's the lap time's going to be? A 45 for D Biggs and a 55 for Gary. So he's had a big moment somewhere, has Gary. And so far, so good for everybody else. Dan, though, can't afford to drop it again because Exmont will be right past him. And Little Leach isn't that far off the back of these two either. There he is, P5, running quietly on his own, I suppose. Monkey Boy 9 seconds behind, Exmont 5 seconds up the road. As I'd say, these two are running for position, but they're not. Monkey Boy just behind his teammate, and will his teammate move over and let him through? In fact, Monkey Boy is just in front of his teammate. A little black stripe over the white stripe to identify who is who, but Fury needed to get to lap 15 to score points. He will be able to qualify for race 2. Here's Dan then. Starting to gap Exmart, but runs that curb quite a lot, Kieran.
Yeah, he's sort of playing the torture there. Let's say one minute he could ride it well, and the next, as you found out, it could throw him over.
Andy looks comfortable at the minute, 14 seconds up the road from BT Targa. Looks like he's got this one in the bag, but there is 5 laps to go. Andy's not put a foot wrong at the minute. And he's going for another win for that BMW M6, which only has 11 wins to its name. It's looking for win number 12, which will take it ahead of the Audi in terms of wins. I'd say it's close to being to the Lamborghini, but it's nowhere near. The Lamborghini's on 35. Lamborghini actually has more poles than the Porsche, which is quite...
I need to have a moment there on the curb.
He did, yeah. Just running the curb. Fury in the chat had a huge crash at 130R and really couldn't drive it into the pits. Shame for Fury then in the end of this one. So we've got Emo Guy 4 seconds behind Sutty. We've got Gary trying to hunt down D Biggs. We've got Monkey Boy and Little Each kind of in no man's land. We got X-Mart 5 seconds ahead of Little Each and 2 seconds behind Dan. Dan will be wanting to catch BT Targa, but BT lapping the same as the leaders at the minute. And he's done a cracking job. He's just sat there. He's got about his business. Sutty then back into the pit lane. So what's happened to Sutty then? Emo Guy goes through. Sutty's in the pits. Oh, he's got some big damage. And does this allow Peaceful to get through? Where's Peaceful? He's coming up to Spoon. And the big damage of Sutty there. Does that give Peaceful a chance to get down towards him? Emo Guy's now up into P9. 17 seconds off the back of Gary. Gary's got 8 seconds to Biggs. That one's not really on the table at the minute. Biggs is 9 to Monkey Boy. Or 8.5 to Monkey Boy, should I say. And there's Monkey Boy letting Peaceful go. Now, is that the hurry up that Peaceful wanted? Say, I'm getting Sutty, mate. Let me through. Because I need to chase him down. Sutty's already out of the pits and slows down to allow the back marker of X-Mart through, I reckon that is. So Peaceful now has had the hurry up over his teammate and has gone. Andy from BT, from Dan, X-Mart, Little Each, Monkey Boy, D Biggs, Gary, Emo, Sutty, Peaceful. We've lost the 2 Wakasaki racing cars.
I think I know where I'm putting my money for qualifying too.
Fury?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you might be right there somehow. Monkey Boy, though, good race on double points. Needs a good double points tonight. Now, can Sutty stay with X-Mart? That's what he needs to do. Doesn't need another big accident. Peaceful is about 13 seconds behind him. X-Mart's got 3 seconds to Dan. He's 5.1 ahead of Little Each. So he's kind of in a good position for a P4 here. But it's all about Dan catching BT Targa. 2/10 quicker last lap. 2.5 behind on the road. Is that game over, Kieran, at 2.5 behind? With 3 laps to go?
Not at this track. Anything can happen with, especially if you make one small mistake, could lead to a massive mistake, especially like I keep saying with the curbing around it.
23 people watching, 14 likes, guys. Let's hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you are new. Andy is driving a rocket ship. He's doing awesome tonight, says Nicky in the chat. He really is. He's really been a man on form tonight. And this is what he needs, Kieran, to get his championship back on track. Although Dan's now third, it's 2 more points he'll score over Dan. 10, over Dan. And it brings that championship back into play a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he just needs to chip away. Obviously, do what he's doing out in front, win the race, get past the lap. He got the point for pole, so far, if he has got past the lap, he'll be maximum points so far.
Yeah, and the fastest lap will make it 11 points difference, which will take it down to 67. At the minute, it is 68. And so far, so good, though. If you are Andy, BT Targus 2.1 ahead of Dan. Dan chipped another 4 tenths out of him last lap, but at the minute, you feel that, BT just wide on the exit at Degner 1, and Dan is hitting them curbs hard in the background. And that's what's costing him in this race a little bit. But Dan slowly chipping away. 3 laps to go here, as we're just about to start the 18th, as Andy's coming down towards 130R. Where else is there a battle on track? Not really many other places. Monkey Boy's gaining on D Biggs. D Biggs is gaining on Monkey Boy, but not a lot happening elsewhere out there on the track then. Kind of spread out a little bit now, Kieran, but Dan has made so many mistakes. If he comes away with a second place, I'm sure he'll be chuffed with that, because this has been a hard race for Dan.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd say, especially with the amount of issues Dan's had in this race with the 2 spins and everything else. Like, he's right wide again now.
He is wide. Was he round? No, lost a bit of time though. He's now dropped a tenth or 2 back and comes to the line. BT Target lapping similar, just a bit slower than Andy in unorthodox, but BT again 44.7. Dan a 43.9. So what a lap from Dan, chipping nearly a second out of BT's gap that last time round. 1.7 quicker behind is Dan to BT. And on the chase camera there, look, you can see Dan just closing in a bit. Now, lap 18 of 20. What's the plan? Because we feel... You what, sorry?
I'm just interested to know how much curve Dan runs in this sector. Because the Mercedes couldn't touch him, so I'm wondering if the Porsche could. But
well, Dan's stayed off them, hasn't he, at the minute? Although he just touched that bit of grass there. Now then, Dan down towards the Degners. How much curve does he use here? Because I've seen him hit it hard, and he does look quite hard and runs the outside there. What about this one? Stays well away from that, but uses the exit curb then. And uses quite a lot of that. 1.6 the gap. You hear him just lift off as they come up over the crest. Dan is hunting BT Target down. We saw X-Mark let him through. What is BT Target's plan? Because obviously he's 4th, so he's going to want to catch Fury now that Fury scores no points. That gap is 79 points. So BT Target's going to want to score as many points possible. And the extra 5 points he'll get for second place will be what he wants over that for third. But at the minute, 20 people watching, 15 likes. Guys, girls, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you are new. Seriously, get involved with the action here at Simplay Motorsport with the new seasons coming up after Christmas. Have some fun events going over the Christmas period as well. I think there is one on ACC we're going to be doing, in which I kind of want Dan to commentate so I can have at least a little go on. World Endurance, Formula 1 and GT3 is coming back in the new year as well, so stay tuned for that. We'll get them posted into other Facebook groups. You know, if you're on Discord, go to Simplay Motorsport on there, or also go to the Facebook group, Simplay Motorsport on Facebook, if you want to be a part of the action. And for Dan here, crucial time now. He's under a second to BT Targa. What's the game plan with 2 laps to go, Kieran?
I think play it safe. If you've got, I'd rather lose 10 points than lose more by having a moment.
We've lost Sutty. When did we lose Sutty?
I didn't see it.
No, he was ahead of Peaceful at lap 15, so Sutty then would have scored points for being 11th.
That if you're lifting, don't come out of lobby so you can see what he's actually did.
He's retired and he's on the same lap as Peaceful at the minute. You see the white dot in the pit, so I reckon he's done 18 laps. Because the dot's white, Peaceful's not yet lapped Sutty in the pit, so I reckon 18 laps for Sutty then there. Dan, though, right on the back now of BT Targa. We're down to 10 runners. Over the curb goes BT and Dan, using as much as they can. What is the tactic here? And he'll still gain some points, but it won't be as much if Dan gets second. But Dan will not want to make a mistake this last lap. Stays away from the curb there, uses the curb on the outside, and Dan very wide. And gets out of it then. He lost a tenth, 2/10 he lost over BT Targa.
Does make me worry though when you see the cars go around the last corner and get ever so close to the outside curb or outside line.
You just feel that if they touch the grass, that's it, they're going to be dragged in. Last lap then, Andy dominant, 10 seconds in front. Although it was a bit slower last time around. BT Targa not having the best of last laps either. Dan, third place with a 44.1, lapping quite well. Right on the back of BT Targa now though is Dan. BT will want to catch Fury, wants 20 points to gain over Fury to take the gap down to 59. Dan, he's had a moment and he's onto the grass, keeping out the wall, he does so. But another one of them and you feel that X-Mark could be through. So that is game over, I reckon, for that second place. So Dan now just needs to keep it on the track. One more mistake like that and you have to feel that X-Mark will be through. Little Each not too far behind either, so if Dan had a big enough moment, will Little Each get him?
Yeah, I think X-Mark's backed off entirely. He's, what, 5 seconds behind Dan before Dan after Dan had home.
Yeah, so I reckon you're right there. But this man then coming up to Spoon Corner, coming through Spoon Corner, is going to take, Kieran, a pretty dominant victory there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Fury flew in the session, but according to my screen, it's saying Fury's got the fast lap 1:42.3, so 1:42.23.
Well, there we go. We'll have to keep our eyes on Fury. He is still in session. There's two cars retired in the pits. That's Fury and Sutty then. But round the final bend, down the dip he comes for the final time in round 19. And it is going to be a win for Andy. What a job for him. So first place, another one to finish, to cap off what has been a great season in the BMW BT Targa. He's going to come home for second place. Where's Dan then? He's going to get third then in the end, just behind. What a terrible, terrible night. X-Mark looks like he's going to get a P4, so good points. Good all the points for Team Prolapse in this one. Little Each, I'm sure he'll take a P5. Could have been a podium maybe, but he had that collision with Dan early on, but P5 nonetheless. It's going to be D Biggs. What's happened to Monkey? Because D Biggs has got ahead of him. So I reckon Monkey Boy's made a mistake somewhere then, Kieran, but D Biggs is going to come home for P5. Around the final bend he comes now, P5 for D Biggs. It's going to be a 7th place for Monkey Boy, a P6 for D Biggs. P5 was Little Each. So there is Monkey Boy. Gary, 7th place.
Just on that corner.
Yeah, not had the pace tonight as Gary, has he? Just not had anything.
Doesn't look like Renault wants to turn into that last corner.
And Emo Guy then going to come home not far behind Gary in P9 with Peaceful finishing P10 then, and we await the fastest lap. Kieran reckon, oh yeah, that'll be a slam dunk. That'll be a slam dunk. Penalty there for Emo Guy, and fastest lap. Kieran reckons is Fury. And the fastest lap isn't Fury. 43.9. Andy with a 43 dead. So Andy will get the fastest lap of the race. So a clean sweep in race 1 for Andy then. And what a job that was for him. And we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be back in just a short while with race 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to the second race of the evening. Round 25 races to go, and the title championship, the title contenders, should I say, get my words out, has came down just a little bit. The gap is now 67 points, with Andy having the perfect race one. Top six cannot qualify, so Andy, BT, Dan, X-Mart, Little Leach and D-Biggs cannot qualify for this second race. We have lost Liam tonight, but it's unorthodox. 403 points ahead of Andy with 336, who now gets the 12th win of the Simplay Motorsport career for the BMW M6, goes above the Audi. Fury will drop out of the title race tonight if it doesn't go his way in this second one, as he has had an absolute mare in the first race. He's 115 behind. BT Targa chips away 20 points at him. Gary now goes into 5th, Disco 6th, Sutty 7th. He's only 7 points behind Sutty. X-Mark gaining on Sutty there though as well. Little Each goes ahead of D-Biggs, but Peaceful, well, what's he going to do? Because he's now got his teammate on double points tonight, closing him down. Phil stays on 58. Mazda's 14th on 39. Emo Guy on his double points tonight, 26. And can go above Mazda in the next race. Jamie, then that Bozzy Boy at the bottom. Shake and Bake Motorsport lead by 47 points over Slingshot Motorsport. Team ProLab still mathematically in with a shout here on 169 behind. Mathematically possible. Realistically, probably not. Lita Losers and Wakasaki Racing end up out of that in 4th and 5th. Run Flat Racing just ahead of GQ Motorsport. And we'll start with Dan then. Back on the wheel tonight after your operation. And what was a successful, you could say, somewhat successful outing at Zolder on the pad. But that was hard work. You looked like you struggled a bit out there at times.
Yeah, I thought I'd done all the hard work and made a nice setup before, but then obviously come tonight it just felt completely horrible. Just had to make quick little changes and it still wasn't ideal. Still in a little bit of pain as well, so it's hard to push fully, but nonetheless it was okay. 3rd place, Andy outscoring me, but I'm still within reach, just making sure he doesn't get too far away.
Yeah, 67 points with 108 left. He's slowly chipped a bit more away. If he chips a bit more away, do you start to worry a little bit more, or what's the plan going forward?
I can't keep being complacent. I need to make sure that I am pressurising him right to the end. If I make one mistake or have one bad round, he's back in it. So I need to keep that pressure on him so that he has to deliver each round. But nonetheless, I'm just doing the job that I need to do. I also need to comment and say a massive apology to Little Leach for that race. I dropped it in 130R and was bouncing over the curb, and as soon as I came back on track, the car snapped on me and went back into the racing line. I tried to avoid him as quickly as I possibly could, but there was no avoiding, and I massively apologise, and I take full blame for that one.
I'm not going to lie, you got quite a good entry into pit lane though, so you wasn't there.
What do you do then in race 2 that's different to race 1?
Sakitto, after watching last night and obviously the start of this race, is just avoid the carnage. If I can avoid the carnage and just take my time and be patient, then hopefully it can come to me. But it's all about surviving lap 1 and seeing how far I can get up the grid.
Wish you the best luck, buddy.
Thank you very much.
We've got BT Targa on the podium as well, and a good week at Zolder last week where you got yourself on the podium, got yourself a win last week, and you're back on the podium once again here. Good night for yourself, good night of points for the team as well.
Yeah, really pleased with that, Matt. Didn't expect a podium in this. I was aiming top 5, but yeah, that was well
Great.
Pleased. Had a bit of a crazy first lap though.
Yeah, it looked a bit crazy. You're gaining on Fury. Is that top 3 a realistic goal, being some 50 odd points behind Fury, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I would like, with the last 2 races, I like both the tracks coming up, so yeah, I would like to have a good chase at it. I mean, you know, he is going to be very fast at far first, I know that. But yeah, I mean, anything can happen there, as you know.
Sorry, go on.
Looking forward to the challenge if I could chase and put down third.
How was that race for the Porsche? Because Dan looked like he struggled, whereas you looked a bit calmer.
Yeah, he definitely, on the one-off laps, he was definitely quicker. I could see him catching me. My worst corner was the spoon corner. I felt like I'd run over a Chutton Ferret or something. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
Really slippery, but yeah, Dan was quick, but I could see that he did have a few crazy moments after 130R where mine seemed a bit more planted there. So I found it okay actually. The Porsche, it's not the quickest setup, but it's you know, consistent.
Yeah. What can you do race 2, buddy?
I think, like Dan said, you know, to keep out of trouble would be a plus sign. You know, it is definitely a hard track for everyone to keep clean on the first lap. But yeah, I think I'd like to aim for the top 5 you know,
Well-
anything in that would be brilliant. And same for X-Mart. I'd like to see him join us up there again. He done
Yeah.
well in that race too.
He did indeed. Well, we wish you the best of luck, buddy.
Cheers, thanks, matey.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Top 6 can't qualify then, which means that Little Each and Andy will start at the back of the grid. D-Biggs, X-Mart, BT Target, and then Dan will have the best of the reverse grid qualification here as we just wait for Emo Guy to get a lap in, and then that'll sort that one out. Andy, we come to you. Another race win, 12 now for the M6. You're gaining on Jamie Brazier in the pole position record. You're one behind him now, and you're just chipping away at Dan's championship lead. What more can you do?
Well, first of all, the pole position record isn't one that I want to have at this stage, because out of those 18 poles you said, I've converted only 7 of those to wins, and not all of those wins came from pole either, so my strike rate from pole is pretty shoddy. But no, in terms of chipping away at the championship lead, I think it's more or less a foregone conclusion. I really do need Dan to have a major slip between now and the end of the season. I think it's, I need to score something like double the points that he scores in these next 5 races if I was to make it happen. So I won't give up. I'm not just going to throw in the towel, and I'll keep driving and try and replicate the same level that I had in that race just there. Things seem to go quite well. I did have one spin. The gap went from 20 seconds down to about 10, about 3-4 laps from the end or something like that. So it wasn't the perfect race, but certainly by that point the hard graft had been done, and I was pushing for fastest lap at that point, so that may have been just a rookie error. But yeah, I'll keep going, won't give up, and hopefully something might happen. But if it doesn't, then I can say that I'll give it my best shot and try my best.
You looked dominant in that first race, Andy, if you don't mind me saying. It was quite the dominant performance. You say you had that one spin. Was that the only time the BMW struggled then, or...?
Yeah, it was coming through the left-hander, the left-hander after Degner. When you're going uphill, you take it flat out, because it is a flat-out corner, but if you have one little twitch to the wheel, or you're not as smooth as you'd like to be, if you get offline for even a split second, and you've got to overcompensate, and that generally causes the tyres to start screeching, and more often than not, you end up losing the car. You have to be so on it through that corner just to keep it sort of on the right trajectory. So I messed up there coming through there as I was going for fastest lap, about 3 laps from the end. But aside from that, it's alright, and I know exactly what caused it, so it's not like I'm sort of sat here scratching my head wondering what happened.
Yeah.
You know, I know why it happened, and ultimately I can stop it from happening again, so it's not too much of a concern.
What can you do race 2, buddy? Because that was pretty much dominance. Is it going to be the same again? Just go out there and hope for the best?
Yeah, it's a difficult track to overtake here. It's narrow in parts, and the overtaking parts of the track aren't really going to suit the BMW, because it's not too quick down the straights. The Porsche is quicker than down the straights, and so is the Merc. So I'm just going to have to try and pick them off, really. It's just going to have to be about waiting for the opportunities to come and taking the ones that are handed to me on a plate, and hopefully getting an early pit stop in and trying to play the strategy game here.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, buddy. We'll let you get back to it.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Emo Guy then just pops it into P5, but Fury's lap time matches that of Andy's in Q1 with a 41.8, Kieran. He has really been on it in this second qualifying and looking to get that Mercedes-Benz. It's 49th pole. It looks like it's going to be an all Mercedes front row, though.
Yeah, it's going to be. After looking at Fury, obviously, whilst you're doing interviews, he's been into the pits twice in this session, so have he made mistakes, or have he brought it in due to maybe having the radiator a bit too shut? Maybe, I don't know, but.
Here comes Sutty with 41 seconds remaining. Fury's pitted, so that'll be him done. Gary and Emo Guy both are done as well. Fury crosses line 2.6 seconds down, so he has got one more bite of the cherry. So has Peaceful, so has Monkey Boy. Then as Monkey Boy's just about to cross the line and get a final lap in, Peaceful will not get a final run in from here. He's way too far back to get it. He's only just coming through the second Degners, and in fact that has probably ruined his lap. There then, what a shame for Peaceful. He's gone back to the pit, so it'll be Sutty to finish, then Monkey Boy. The question, I suppose, Kieran, is can Sutty find that half a second? Can Monkey Boy find half a second to move him up the order? That's all they need to get. What can these two find?
It's going to be tough, as I say. What I found in qualifying is the tyres can only really do 1, if not 2 flying laps before they start losing time. I think Fury's on the fresher tyre. Fury didn't hit. I think Fatty's on the fresher tyre at the 2 of them, but as I say, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. And Sutty at the moment is green sector 1. Sector 2 just on the exit to Spoon. So what's he going to be like coming out of here as he comes down the hill now to break the timing beam? And he's a 10th down. So can Sutty find that 10th in this final sector? What can Monkey Boy do as he's coming around Spoon? Sutty then, round 130R. What's he got left in the tank? Can he find any time? Half a second needed to take and get onto the front row of the grid here in the Lamborghini. Here comes Sutty Apex then. Can he do it at the end? No, just narrowly improves. Monkey Boy then has had a moment and he's pitted, so Monkey Boy will start P6. Peaceful will start on the second row of the grid, but Sutty there, Kieran, just narrowly, he improved, but just narrowly missing out on that front row of the grid, will start in P3. Gary gets 4th place. And Mercedes-Benz now has 49 pole positions to his name, and Kieran could be the one to give it pole position number 50 on, Wednesday night next week. Couldn't remember what night we was watching.
Thanks for the jinx.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I've not marked where Emo Guy qualified in race 1. Brilliant. Where did he qualify? It was about 9th, wasn't it? Yeah, that's the number I'm missing. So we'll jot that one in. So Fury then takes pole number 49 for the Mercedes-Benz. Peaceful, Sutty, Gary, Emo Guy, Monkey Boy, Dan, Unorthodox, the best of the non-qualifiers, 7th place. Then BT Targa, X-Mart, D-Biggs, Andy with a lot of work to do, and Lidleach right at the back of the pack. Kieran, who's your money on for this race 2 win?
I think if Fury can get a good start, keep out of trouble, I think he could get away with it at the front.
He's out the running for the championship. Needs a good run in this race to just stay in that shout. You think Fury? I think Andy's the man to beat tonight. I just think Andy will manage to get his way through and he'll be the man to beat.
It depends on how quickly and how cleanly Dan and Orthodox and Andy can get through the pack, especially the tight 50 sector 1.
It's going to be all about this first lap, isn't it? As we wait for the drivers to sync up and ready up then. And like we say, this will be Peaceful Explosion's 98th race start. This will be Little Leach's, I'm forgetting people's names tonight. This will be Little Leach's 99th race start in this second race. And what a job this is going to be. Fury now equaling Mazda on 10 pole positions and puts himself above Monkey Boy. Is it Monkey Boy? No, he's put himself above Mazda, sorry. He joins Dan on 10 pole positions here at Simplay Motorsport. And to say Dan's a one-time champion and fighting for this title, not the best qualifier in terms of pole positions. He's one behind Gary now, is Fury. A lot of Furies came last year with 7. But can Fury convert this into a win? Andy was on about his pole to win rate conversion. And it's 18 poles to 7 wins. Fury's 2 poles. He's got a lot more wins than that this season anyway. He's got 10 poles overall. He's got a lot more than 10 wins. He's on 18, but can he win? We're all synced up. We're all getting ready to go. The lights are on. It's green here, and Sutty's got the best of the starts and splits the 2 Mercedes-Benz and already heads down to turn 1 in the lead of this race. What a start from the Lamborghini. Fury got away well, as did Gary, and Peaceful into turn 1. They all squeeze each other, and Sutty leads. Someone I think was wide. Think it was Emo Guy. Fury then hassling the back of Sutty, and he's not going to be able to get it done around here. He's just got to back off, be patient and wait his turn at the moment. Lidleach still at the back of the pack, but all 12 through turn 1, and this first part of the twisty section relatively easy. Peaceful a little wide there, and Gary gets up the inside. Monkey Boy is now in 5th place. It was Emo Guy who dropped down to P9th, and he's dropped down to 12th so far, but Sutty leads from Fury. But look at Fury, Kieran, pushing that Lamborghini along at the minute.
Yeah, I'm not sure if being that close is the wisest thing at the moment, especially with the pack being so close together. All it takes.
Indeed. Oh, is that Peaceful who's just had a slide there? Dan's worked his way up to 5th. Or was it Monkey Boy? None of them's dropped down the list. It must have been Peaceful because Dan's got a good run on him. And up into 4th place goes Dan. Andy's still down in 12th place at the minute. But Dan's got a mistake in him. Sutty forcing Fury to the outside of Spoon. Gary's right there with them as well. And Sutty's going to have to go the long way round. Gary tucking up the inside, the 2 times pro champ. The wily old veteran, you may say, trying to get underneath Fury there and get the run, but this Mercedes and Lamborghini is just going to pull away from that poor old Renault. And Fury's mum cheering him on. Fury's got a run up the inside of the Lamborghini towards 130R, and side by side they go. How brave is Sutty Apex? Dinky got out of that one then. As Gary gets through it, Dan gets through it as well, and it's BT now 5th ahead of Peaceful. Monkey Boy's dropped down to 11th. Emo Guy is down in 12th place. And Andy running 10th now, a bit behind his title rival. Said he needs to just chip away. What can he do? He's got his championship rival's teammate in front of him. And Andy looking for something at the moment. Fury then ahead of Sutty with Gary on the back of him. That looked like it was X-Mart and Peaceful side by side a bit further forward. And it is, but Peaceful's round and X-Mart's lost the rear as well. Peaceful's held on to it. X-Mart loses out to Little Each. Andy and D Biggs get past Peaceful, and X-Mart drops down to just ahead of Peaceful Explosion. And there he is, look. And so far so good, and that's Peaceful across the grass onto the gravel, tries to brake, slides across, misses everybody just slightly, and Emo Guy may come round to get another place as well. But so far so good. Fury from Sutty, from Gary, then Dan. Andy now up into 8th, a few mistakes coming from a few others, Kieran, and lap 1 was relatively nice. Lap 2 a bit scruffy at the start for a few people.
Yeah, again, obviously turn 1 is not a turn you want to be side by side with people, especially as I keep mentioning, the curbs and not having that. You need a good run out of turn 1 to be able to get up to turn 2.
Yeah. As we come then towards Spoon for the second time on round 20, there's 4 races left to go after this. Championship still on, and Dan, will he want to outscore them 10 points? Them 11 points that Andy pulled back, 12 actually, in fact, that Andy pulled back to the pole position. At the minute, he's going about it in the right way, but Andy is on the back of Dan's teammate D Biggs, and we know Dan from race 1 has got a few mistakes in him. Now he's 4th. Them mistakes may hurt him more, being in 4th place and Andy behind. Justin Williams in the chat. Good stuff from Fury. Keep it up. TT Gang, where are you at? He says in the chat. Get them all in here. Get them subscribing and liking the video. Liking the stream, should I say. Little Each and P6. D Biggs just behind. Andy just behind him. Emo Guy's got ahead of Monkey Boy, so Monkey Boy's had a problem somewhere, and Andy just having a look at D Biggs there. Dan's just got past Gary on the timing screens, so Dan's moved himself up to P3 ahead of Gary. Gary must have made a mistake, he's lost out to BT Targa as well now, so Gary just struggling a little bit here.
Could it be the top speed of that Renault hurting him?
Possibly so. I wonder if he made a mistake though, because he was well in front of the others. Emo Guy's had a problem as well somewhere, because he's dropped down to last place again, and Peaceful's dropped to the back as well. But Fury started to check out front. Not really Dan's title rival anymore, just there to try and get wins and take points away from him. Sutty, Dan's now running 3rd. Andy's up to 7th. He's cleared D Biggs, so Dan makes a place. Andy makes a place, and Andy now coming as D Biggs still putting Andy under pressure, side by side through the second date there, and Andy's going to have the inside line here, and they just touch each other a bit there. That unsettles Andy and D Biggs. They both come away relatively easy. Look like Biggs just turned in on Andy a little bit there. And for Andy here, what can he do about it? X-Mart on the back of Biggs as well. Biggs not had the best of seasons, and Dan reckons that earlier in the season, it's when I jinxed him at Brands when they was running 1-2, and since then he's not had a great season. So I apologise to Biggs, but Dan trying to catch Sutty now. Little Each and Andy will be battling, and every time Dan gains a place, Andy seems to follow and get one through, but Andy losing time to Dan at the moment in the traffic. Dan's got Sutty to contend with. 2 seconds back to BT Targa. Sutty's got a good gap to BT as well, but Fury out front has checked out at the minute. And a quiet, spread out sort of race already onto the 4th lap, Kieran, as the pit window opens at the end of this lap.
Yeah, not too many incidents in comparison to race 1. Obviously, more cars don't appear to be carrying any damage. Still, yeah, very spread out. It is such a one-line track, you can't really vary. Like the driver said in the interview, you can't really run offline.
Yeah, you can't run offline much at all. And at the minute, Andy, where is he? He's about 1.9 behind Little Each at the minute. What can he do? Unorthodox, though, getting right on the back of Sutty Apex here. Can Dan clear Sutty as quick as possible? Sutty won't be the easiest man to get past, and Dan looking up the inside at Spoon, but cannot get it done there as Andy slowly creeping towards the back of Little Each. But this is the battle at the minute. Jamie Brazier, where's Kelly tonight? Kelly's on holiday, that's why he wasn't here last night. E. McKizzle Go Fury, go, she says in the chat. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. E. McKizzle. Dan now looking to the outside of Sutty, coming up to 130. Andy gaining on the back a little each, but look at Dan. Can he get a move done? You don't want to try it too much around there, although D-Biggs did last night, but Dan keeping it relatively nice as they come towards the final part of the track. I thought Dan was on the grass there, and we've seen Dan struggle through this part of the track tonight. So far, so good in these first 4 laps. Nobody in the pits just yet. Fury has a 4.5 second lead. And Gary's had a problem somewhere because he's dropped behind Little Each and Andy. So Andy's now up to 6th. Gary's had a spin, and he's going to bring that one into the pits as the first man in. Sutty defends, says Smithy in the chat. Gary into the pits then, so it's not Gary's night. Emo's got back ahead of Monkey Boy and Peaceful, so they're having a bit of a poor race too. Fury made a great move and is now in first, says Justin in the chat. Monkey Boy comes into the pits at the end of lap 4 as well. And Peaceful Explosion really has had a dismal night tonight. Both times at the front sharp end of the grid. Both times dropping down the order. Now then, Andy has Little Each. Little Each has Andy right on the back of him. Sutty's still got Unorthodox on the back of him.
Fatty does look, I know Fatty's on the pad, but he does look rather twitchy.
He does, doesn't he? He does look a bit twitchy, but is that the Lamborghini? Is that the nature of Sutty just dropping everything off the car? And Dan looks to come underneath Sutty. And has he got it done? No, Sutty closes the door and taps Dan, does he, a little bit there? That's a bit cheeky from Sutty there. And that's going to allow BT on the back of Dan. Dan just losing that bit of time then for Andy to gain a little bit. Bit naughty from Sutty there, Kieran.
I'm not sure if it was up fix one and Fatty coming across and all through the curves having the effect on the inside.
Possibly so then, as Fury is bringing the fan club in, says Smithy in the chat. We love the Fury fan club, the Fury Massive. Always here, 7.7 second lead. Now, where is Sutty gone? What's Sutty done? Oh, he's coming to the pits and sped. What a shame for Sutty then. Andy as well, early stop for him. He's came into the pits as well, but Sutty then making a mistake early doors. Sutty, good stop there though, Kieran.
Yeah, can't complain about that one. Wish I could get pit stops like that.
X-Mart into the pits as well at the end of lap 5. And at the minute, no one appears to have damage, did he? Andy, where's Andy? Andy's on his way out as well. Now Andy going for the undercut here on a few of these drivers. So what will happen? That's the question.
Andy seemed a bit slow coming out pit lane now. Maybe he's waiting for Gary.
Yeah, he did, yeah. But he's behind Gary, so he's not jumped Gary then after Gary was slow into the pit. So, but he's close to Gary, isn't he? 3 seconds is that gap. Now Dan's had that moment. When will Dan pit? Will he react to Andy coming in? Sutty's obviously got the time penalty to his name now, which will be a minimum of 10 seconds. And Fury 7.5 in the lead. Peaceful's in, as is Emo.
I'm not sure if that's damage or whether that's
that's damage. That looks a bit crumbled up on the front right. He's away relatively decently. He's ahead of Emo Guy again. Can't be bothered tonight, says Mikey. That's how bad a night Mike's having. You know when Mike's having a bad night? When he says things like that, keep getting pushed wide, he says, and that's Monkey Boy off. He's had a shocker as well. And here comes Andy with Little Each now. Is that Little Each or is that Gary? Has he got past Gary? No, he's got past Gary. So Andy's jumped Gary then this lap already. Oh, Gary's dropped the rear. Oh, Gary. Has there been much carnage tonight like GTEs? Yes, Little Each did flip with Dan right behind him, with Dan right there as well. So Gary's dropped the car. That's X-Mart who's going to gain. D-Big's now in the pits. As the cameraman's picked up Peaceful. This is what it would do with you last night.
Yeah, I keep clicking other people. It goes straight to Peaceful.
Yeah, so D-Biggs comes into the pits then. Can Andy get the jump on him? Sutty has. D-Biggs coming out the pit lane. Andy's coming down the start straight. Andy's going to get the jump here. He's going to be right up to speed. And Andy jumps D-Biggs then. The undercut working for Andy. Up to P6 he goes now. Dan gaining on Fury. That gap's down to 5.8 seconds at the moment in time. And for Unorthodox here, It's just about keeping Andy at bay and extending that gap once again. But Andy has pitted. Dan got to pit. We reckon it's about 30 seconds.
I say, you say Dan's catching, but Fury was quicker last lap.
Yeah, so as Fury had a moment this time around, I wonder, because that gap was 7 seconds as well a moment ago. But yeah, I wonder. Pit lane's about 30 seconds. Or is Dan just on a flyer? Because 3 tenths up on his best lap at the minute. We'll have to see the lap times. Fury leading though. When does he decide to come in? Not yet. I don't think Dan will either. So then, Fury, Dan, BT, Little Each, Sutty. Yeah, 45. So he's had a bit of a mistake somewhere, hasn't he? This Fury. Dan in the 43. So Dan 2.5 quicker nearly. Here comes Little Each. He's not pitted yet. Everybody board Dan, Little Each, Fury and BT Tiger have pitted. So the top 4 haven't pitted yet. And I wonder if when the top 4 are going to come in. They've got to the end of lap 14. Sutty got himself a 10-second penalty in the pits. Keep it up, Fury. I've got to get back to work. E, can you message what happened, please? Says Justin in the chat. Andy, 7 seconds behind Sutty Apex. Can he gain that time back? Is that time enough to get over Dan? 1:48 was his out lap last time around. What's his first sort of proper lap going to be after his pit stop? On the 45, so a bit slower than Dan. But Andy's just taking it step by step. Dan's looked a lot better in this second race so far, Kieran. Not had the mistakes he was having in race 1.
Yeah, not sure if the setups comes with the cooler conditions or whether Dan's made any changes or not. Not being out of practice in the second qualifying session could always be a risk. But like you say, maybe he's just got that clearer air that he wanted. And
well, he's flying at the minute because he's what 143s. It's not a bad pace sort of pace, is it, for him?
No, definitely. It's he's keeping Fury honest.
Indeed he is. And he flashes the lights to Peaceful Explosion just in front, who is a lap down. And does Dan decide to pit? Dan's pitting. Oh, Fury comes in. Pretty hot there. Is Monkey Boy's in as well? I think Monkey Boy's back in. Dan comes in as well then. So Dan did the same as Fury. And at the end of lap 8, they both pit. So it is just Little Each and BT Target to pit the top 2. Monkey Boy is back in for another stop. Fury's in. How good's the stop? Fury's is quite good. Dan's still sitting there. Oh, Dan's is quite a long one. He was in for quite some time. Where's Sutty? Coming round the final bend now is Sutty Apex. Can Sutty get back in front of Dan? That'll be the key for Dan to get out ahead of Sutty. Here comes Sutty then. Dan's not yet off the limiter. I think Sutty's going to get him. Yes, he is. So Sutty stays ahead of Dan, and the next car behind Dan is his championship rival and Andy. So game on for Dan now then to get past Sutty. He knows he's got a 10-second penalty, so doesn't really need to pass him. Can just follow Sutty home. But if this man starts to gain on the back, 5.5 seconds the gap. Andy will see that it's Dan in front of him now and will want to gain that time over him and chip them more points away. BT Little Each still to come in the pits. We reckon it's about 30 seconds for a loss of pit stops. We reckon Sutty may get the jump over BT Targa. But when do these two pit, Kieran? That's the question.
It's a hard one, really, because I say that there's gaps in the traffic, but you don't want to be stuck behind too many, especially the being the last to pit. They've got more chance of getting out in front.
Yeah, they have, haven't they? Sutty then, just ahead of Dan by just over a second at the minute. 5 seconds behind Fury, so he's gained some time over Fury as well since he's pitted. And Andy's about 6 seconds behind Dan now, so that gap, it's 5.4 actually. So Andy getting closer to Dan this time around.
I think Fury might have been held up by Monkey Boy entering pit lane. You see him rather close.
Yes.
Come in.
Yes, possibly so. Sutty lapping in the 43s last time around. What a shame. He's got a time penalty. Peaceful as well in the 43s as well. Can he gain on Gary by the end of the evening? X-Mark's trying to gain on D-Biggs, as is Gary further back. But this the battle for the net second place, we believe. Dan's been better. We're halfway through this race and Dan's been a lot better so far. The one mistake, but that could have been Sutty chopping the nose off or just hitting the curb to try and get up the inside of Sutty. We're not sure, but he's been a lot better in this one Kieran, and he's been a lot more consistent with it as well. And now is the time where he's got to chip that gap to Andy and increase it a bit more. And as I say, he's been better. Just a little deep through turn 1 and 2 there.
Yeah, maybe it's the, like I say, the dirty air from the car in front. Not the easiest of cars. Is that a car off in front?
Yeah, I think it was Monkey Boy or Peaceful who was keeping out the way. I think it was Monkey Boy. Cameraman's picking up Peaceful. Yeah, it was Monkey Boy, look. And kept out the way. He's got 16 seconds now to Emo Guy, who he's had a problem through the second Degner. Yeah, that's coming out the Degners, isn't it, through under the bridge. Back away he goes. Looks like there's a bit of damage to the front of that car. Dan, though, right on the back of Sooty's tail. Peaceful quite the way ahead of Emo Guy. Monkey Boy not far off the back of Emo Guy. It's got to get to the end. If Emo Guy scores 4 points for finishing 12, that's 8 points, and that's more points he'll gain over Mazda, as he's already ahead of now of Jamie Brazier and that Buzzy Boy. Biggs ahead of X-Mart. BT Target stays out on track. Little Leach as well, I think, stays out on track. Yes, he does. Fury, 18 seconds off the back of these. And he's now started to gap Sooty. That's up to 6.8. And is this where Dan can have a run at the Lamborghini? No, because he's only just under a second behind. And Andy, 6 seconds behind Dan. Oh, it's game on here. Dan, does he know whether to stick or twist? Is he just following Sooty home?
Maybe if he's got Andy behind him, so anything he gets. If the flag was to go out now, he's extending his lead.
And don't forget Sooty with a time penalty, he'll finish in front of. Doesn't need to get past him. 0.8 of a second, the gap between them two. Yeah, Andy will as well. That's the downside. But does he need to force the move, force the error? We see what happened earlier when he tried to get past Sooty before the time penalty, and he ended up having a bit of a spin. Tricky track.
What Dan doesn't want to do is get too close to Sooty in front and slow Sooty down, and let Andy catch up to him.
Yeah,
if he let Sooty do his own thing, he'd probably pull away from Andy.
Yeah, I mean at the minute Andy's still what, 6 seconds, 5.7. So it's he's not really gaining, is he? He's not making inroads. 0.2 quicker last lap, so it's not massive gains for Andy at the minute. As here's Little Leach. BT Target's just exited Spoon. 6.7 seconds is the gap. These two will lap 11.
With stunt ramp to go back into pit lane.
Yes, he's got to make sure he takes the pit lane normally this time and not rolling into it. But BT Target, when does he decide to pit? Been in some good form this back end of the season since his double points last week at Zolder, putting in P4.
It's as if the Porsche finally clicked with him.
Yeah, it's took him a season, hasn't it, to learn it. He was good in the Merc last year, and it's took him a season to gel with the Porsche.
We've been joking all season that Kelly and Nicky have handed these two cars over to the pro guys, and it often comes back damaged, but it hasn't been so last few weeks.
Now, Little Leach is in the pits, and more importantly, Dan's got ahead of Sooty. So Dan's now in front. Did Sooty make a mistake? The gap's half a second. There's Emo Guy with them. Andy is, some 6 seconds back still. But Dan's ahead of Sooty. That's the important thing. Little Leach not yet away. He moves now. I think he's coming out the pit lane now. So Andy will get ahead of him. And look at D Biggs and X-Mart here. They're going to get past Little Leach, I think. They're up to speed. Little Leach away now. Oh, this will be tight. This will be tight. Coming into turn 1. Is X-Mart going to look at D Biggs? He is, He's going to have a look up the inside. D Biggs closes the door. And they're not as close to Andy to Little Leach as I thought it was going to be. But Andy then ahead of Little Leach. Sooty in between him and Dan. Gary's back in the pits. His night goes from bad to worse. That'll give Peaceful an extra place. You imagine, he's got some damage on that car. And I bet he cannot wait to get out that Renault and into the Porsche again. Or into whatever he's going to drive next year. Nothing's been confirmed yet. We'll have to wait and see what he wants to drive. But BT leads this race, not yet pitted. 29 seconds ahead of Fury. So I think Fury's made a mistake somewhere, Kieran. Because the gap's now a second, 2 seconds to him and Dan. And I think Fury's made an error somewhere.
Yeah, it's getting to about the time when the Mercedes does want to slide a bit more, especially in the first half the lap. I felt personally in the Mercedes coming across, trying to count the corner, about turn 5, 6.
Oh, Dan! Sorry, Dan had a bit of a snap coming through Spoon, Kieran, sorry.
I say, just coming around the corner before the Degners, the car just wants to try and drift almost. Trying to keep it in check, and also the same through the last corners.
Well, Fury's lost.
Doesn't want to go through it.
Fury's lost all his time to Dan. Dan had a bit of a twitch through Spoon, and Sutty very, very wide. Andy trying to come onto the back of these guys. I think it's Emo Guy who's in front and just behind Sutty. But Andy trying his damnedest to get onto the back of Sutty and onto the back of Unorthodox, but they're all lapping similar pace. Fury definitely had a mistake. Look, 1 minute 50s. Sutty a bit slower than Dan, and Andy into the 43, so taking out 1.1 seconds on Dan there. 4.1 to Sutty. You just feel for Andy that if he's going to carry on in this championship, he needs to finish ahead of Dan. As it cuts to Peaceful again. Cameraman having a bit of a lazy day because he's doing that on Argent last night.
Yeah, the one night I'm at the back.
Dan then had a twitch at Spoon last lap. Looks good at the moment. Can see Fury in the foreground, but doesn't want to lose out to Sutty. He knows that if he spins, and you'll be right there. Sutty's a bit wide through the first Degner. Cameraman now wants to pick up Emo Guy. And Fury's just extended that gap to Dan a little bit this lap. How's Dan's nerve at this time, Kieran? What would you be thinking if you was Dan at the minute?
I think I'd just be trying to get into a groove, obviously knowing Fury's in front, not really in the title fight. BT's still got a pit, so currently he'll be net second after BT enters the pit. He's currently net second, but I'm not sure if he'll get out before BT though. He's quite a way back.
Yeah, it depends on how good a stop this BT Targa has, and the Team Prolapse boys have, and it's not bad so far. It's starting to become worse. It's an average stop. It's not great, but it's not bad. Can he get out? I think Fury will get him. I think Dan will get him. Because there goes Fury, look, side by side with BT now. He's only halfway down the pit lane. There goes Dan. There goes Sutty. The important one will be Andy. Now, can Andy get past? He's got Emo Guy to pass as well. BT's off the limiter. There goes Emo Guy. Here comes Andy. He doesn't get ahead of BT. How crucial is that? But does he get him into turn one? No. So there's 2 cars between Andy and Unorthodox now. Kieran, that could be crucial.
Yeah, no, definitely. If they, depending on what Sutty can do in with his penalty, keeping consistent, keeping that gap back to Andy, but Andy looks a bit offline, trying to find a gap to get past BT.
He does. Let's keep an eye on this fight as we go. 2.3 to Fury, to Unorthodox. Dan's got about 2.5 back to himself and Sutty, and then Andy about 8 seconds off the back of Dan, so he's lost out really.
If Andy dropping away, it must be where the track goes. It looked like Andy will drop him back slightly then, looking at the timings.
Yeah, Andy's time's 44s, Dan 43.3s, Fury 43.2, so Fury's flying out there at the moment. And even Sutty's lapping in the 44s as well, so it's hard to catch those that are lapping the same around you.
Andy's passed BT.
He has done through 130, just before 130R. So Andy ahead of BT, and just gets caught out by that curb there. Now,
touching that grass then for a second.
5.4 to Sutty. Sutty's about 3 seconds now behind Dan. Sutty just starting to drop off the back here of Unorthodox a little bit. As Dan and Fury in the 43s lapping really, really well at the moment. D-Biggs still has X-Mark behind him, who's got Little Each with him as well, and D-Biggs goes very defensive. Is X-Mark going to look around the outside? And I tell you what, Kieran, what a move from X-Mark.
Yeah, keeping an eye on Little Each in the background as well. Little Each trying to go around the outside also.
So Biggs down to 7th, then X-Mark up into 6th place. And at the moment, Fury, Dan, Sutty, Andy, BT. X-Mark, excuse me, X-Mark, D-Biggs, Little Each, Peaceful, Gary, Emo Guy, Monkey Boy. Andy not making the inroads on Sutty and Unorthodox that he would have wanted. D-Biggs defended from Little Each, but Little Each going to have a look at Degner 1 here. And D-Biggs just a little wide. Little Each followed and had a bit of a slide at the first Degner and held it all together nicely. So far, so good for Andy in race 1. So far, so good for Dan in race 2. But Fury bouncing back with a great drive in this second race, Kieran, at the moment. What a shame for Sutty's penalty, because we could be speaking to him on the podium.
Yeah, no, I'd say before the penalty was applied for Sutty, I think Andy would currently be losing points to Dan overall in the night. No, sorry, I'm trying to work it out now. No, I think Dan would lose points actually, because of the big gap between second and fourth and with first to third.
Yeah, but not many points he'd have gained, would it? No. So it wouldn't really make much of a difference for...
And 2 points in it.
Yeah, so he wouldn't really have gained enough to... I mean, the fight would still be on to Bathurst at least, but Dan can win the title next week, depending on what Andy does tonight and next week at Fuji. Dan
like
just...
I said at the start of the night, Dan just needs to look at the points and play the scenario.
Play the Colin Turkington game, Kieran, in a way. Dan just a couple of tenths quicker than Fury last lap. And Andy, 1.5 seconds slower than Dan. And in fact, he's 9 tenths slower than Sutty. So is Sutty just starting to edge away from Andy? The gap is 6 seconds. Bring up the times for us. Let's just see if we can get a look at Sutty's penalty. So it is 10 seconds. So he's, 6 seconds ahead of Andy. Wants to make sure that he gets even further in front than that. Monkey Boy back in the pits to round off a horrible night for him. A good first race, but a real poor second one. Peaceful's up to 9th ahead of Gary. Gary's going to have Emo Guy on the back of him. Here is Peaceful. Unlapping himself from his teammate there. And Dan just getting a bit closer, but Little Leach still on the back of D Biggs here. Good little midfield battle, and D Biggs, well, he's not been at the front with the consistency, but it's points nonetheless. What a shame Disco's not around still, because this constructors battle could have come a bit closer had Disco scored well tonight.
Especially with like the Pro-Am title race, 5 points with 4 races left. Couldn't get much tighter. No,
that's going to go down to the wire, I reckon. 5 drivers in for the title in that one as well. Join us next week at Fuji, 8 PM GMT for Pro-Am and Pro. Next week, next Wednesday night and Thursday night, 8 PM GMT. Fuji, we stay in Japan, night race. So although this looks like it's a night race, this is 8 o'clock in the evening. This one will be midnight to 2 in the morning for the next 2 races. Do not want to miss that. Fuji's not been with us since season 1. What a track Fuji is. And then to throw a curveball, while we've been running soft tyres for a lot of the season, we go to Bathurst in the middle of the Australian summer. So that's going to throw a few people off with temperatures being quite high. Cameramen picking up Emo Guy and others at wrong corners. Andy's closed the gap to 5 seconds to Sutty. Dan's kept that gap similar to Fury, who was half a second quicker last lap. Has he?
Looked like Andy was on the curb on the outside of the deadness.
Interesting. I said Peaceful was unlapping himself from Monkey Boy a lap ago. I lied. That was Peaceful putting a lap on Monkey Boy a lap ago. Driver of the day is tough a bit for Smith, he says. BT or Andy? He says we'll get out to Forza Driver of the day in just a moment. Kieran will get the top 3 in for an interview, no doubt, at the end of this race. But it might be Dan and Andy. It might only be Fury. We need to get in here. And what a night of pro racing. It's been a bit tame tonight, a bit quieter compared to the wet and wild fiascos at Zolder last week. But Unorthodox hasn't had it his own way. And has he made a mistake? He's dropped back a bit of time to Fury here.
With the back marker putting him off slightly.
Yeah, that's Gary, I think, isn't it, behind? Yeah, it is. It's Gary, yeah. Oh, who's that the wrong way? That's Emo Guy facing backwards. And Little Leach tucking up the inside, gets the job done. And that's past D Biggs. What a move from Little Leach here, then up into 7th place. So cracking manoeuvre.
For overtaking potentially under yellow flag with Emo Guy off the road.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Little Leach, though, up to P7 for the time being. Here comes Biggs, trying to get back at him. Dan 2.3 behind Fury. Sutty still about 5 seconds out of Andy. Sutty may lose out to BT Targa and drop down to 5th place here. And Xmart's not a million miles up the road from these two. He's just in front of Little Leach. Cameraman struggling to pick him up. These cameramen have been poor tonight. There's X-Mart, look. There's Little Leach. There's D Biggs.
BT in front of Sutty. Sutty's made a mistake.
Yeah, and Andy's in front of Sutty. So what has Sutty done then? That will put Sutty down to P8 because now he's got 10 seconds. Oh, has he got... I mean, the car don't look too bad, Kieran.
I'm not sure if it was lag or whether it was the car, but it looks like he's...
Well, he's going to drop to P8 at the end of this one unless he can get these by 10 seconds. But now Andy has 10 seconds to Dan. He is, yeah. No, it's all over the place. I mean, there doesn't look to be any damage. Oh, he's heavily lifting and braking there. Yeah, I think we could see Sutty possibly in the pits. And would that allow Peaceful to gain? No, he is staying out. So now he doesn't pit. Most just be struggling. Andy to Dan then. Lap 19 of 20. 2 laps to go. Dan does not want to drop it now because Andy is the car behind him. One mistake from Dan could put Andy in front and score a few more points. What would this be? An extra 5 in race 2? For second over third, an extra 5 points for this. So that'll be a good total of what? A good 20 odd. About 20 points.
Andy would have caught Dan by 5 points in total. First to third. And
yeah. So what's he got? Andy's gained 12 points over Dan at the minute. So about 7 points Andy would have pulled back. As Sutty's dropped down behind X-Mart, Little Leach and D Biggs. So another moment maybe for Sutty late on in this one, and his race just going from bad to worse. He should stay P8, barring any disasters. 52 seconds back to Peaceful. Fury has a... Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, is Sutty thinking 2 laps to go, I'll hold on to what I can keep, sort of thing.
Possibly. And as he just lost out a bit too much, Fury's pulled a bit more of a gap out to Dan. Dan's now 9 seconds to Andy. So has Dan made a little error this lap? 9.3 the gap to Andy. He's going to start the last lap of this race. He's not going to want to make one mistake at all because he knows that one mistake with 10 seconds, Andy's going to be right there. Fury starts the last lap now. Goes even quicker with a 43.1. Dan in the 43, so if he has made a mistake, it's not been too much. Smithy saying unlucky to Sutty in the chat. Gap is 8.4 to Andy. Andy had a good last lap. But he needs Dan to make a mistake this time around. Lap 20 out of 20. X-Mart 1.4 ahead of Little Leach, who's got 7 tenths to D Biggs. Can D Biggs get Little Leach back? Sutty's now 4 seconds off the back of these. He's well back in the background. Struggling. He's definitely got damage on that car.
Makes it difficult for Peaceful trying to get past him. You don't know which way to go. I
don't think that's Peaceful. I think that's Monkey Boy unlapping himself because Peaceful's on the same lap. Sutty's letting Monkey Boy go. Look, he knows he's got damage. Oh, yeah. He's off again. Now, this will help Peaceful out in terms of catching him. Fury, though, is at Spoon Corner. Where's Andy to Dan? Still about 9 seconds. Dan's got a couple of corners. You won't think he'll make a mistake from there, but we're coming round down to 130 off. Fury's led this race for the whole time, bar the pit stops. Been a different Fury in this second race. What a shame he didn't score points in the first one. To just get him, or keep him in the hunt maybe. He might be out of the championship race. Might just have kept himself in it with this race win. But Fury's got to take a dominant victory in the second race, and it's another one for the Mercedes AMG. Dan, though, he's going to come home for second place. And a good points for him. He gains that over Andy, and Andy will only score 7 points over Dan tonight. A good third place, though, for Andy. And a job well done if you're him. BT Targa, good night for him as well. He's going to come across for a P4. And another good result for Team Prolapse with X-Mart, his teammate, coming home for P5. Although that one isn't done just yet. Although 7 tenths back to Little Leach, you'd pretty much say it is. Little Leach, so looks like he's going to take the P6. And a good effort from him. He's had a better night than his brother, who's already finished the race a lap down in 10th. D Biggs comes across P7. Sutty, who has struggled in this, is going to come home P8. And thankfully, Peaceful finished a lap down. So Sutty doesn't need to worry. So Peaceful will be 9th. Sutty is going to be P8. Gary's in 10th, Emo Guy is 11th, and Monkey Boy P12. And there is Monkey Boy to finish off the night. The final fastest lap of the night. Kieran, if you want to get Fury in here, fastest lap, 43.1 for Fury. I think that's it. I don't think there's anybody. No, 43 dead for Peaceful. So Peaceful Explosion will take the fastest lap. What a shock to the books that is. So if you want to get Fury in, we'll sort that one out right now. 12 wins then for the Mercedes-Benz AMG overall, and 56 wins altogether now at the minute. Fury takes another win, and as we go to the championship standings, Andy gains 7 points over Dan tonight, and the championship table just looks like this with 4 rounds to go. 72 points is the difference. It's slim, but Andy's still in with a chance. Fury is mathematically out of it, can bring himself back into it, but that is unrealistic. These 12, he's now -1 in terms of winning the title, so he's pretty much out the championship running. Needs Dan to have a pretty bad night, but even if Dan doesn't turn up and Fury gets maximum points in all 4 races, he'll lose the title by 1 point. BT Target stays in 4th place, doesn't gain any over Fury in that second one. Gary goes up to 5th, Sutty up to 6th, ahead of Disco by a point, and X-Mart's now 4 points off the back of Disco. Little Each not far off the back of X-Mart, and D-Biggs, their fight continues. Peaceful on to 140, and Monkey Boy goes on to 112. Emo Guy then on 36, he's 3 points behind Mazda at the end of tonight, and you reckon Emo Guy, if he could finish ahead of Phil, and what do you need, 22 points, could possibly stay up and be in the Pro for next season. We'll have to see the Constructors table. Shake and Bake now 61 ahead of Slingshot Motorsport. Team Prolapse are still in the shout, just by 14 points. Leachy loses ahead of Wakasaki Racing with Run Flat Racing, GQ Motorsport, and the bottom 3 haven't really been here for most of the season, so we'll leave them ones. We'll go to Andy though first, and Andy, P3 in a difficult race to get through the pack early on.
Yeah, pretty much the first couple of laps were a little bit of a struggle. So that was really where my race, or hopes of winning this race, ended. I had a bit of contact with D-Biggs on the first lap. He kind of nudged me. I think we were side by side, and he just drove into me. I think it was an accident, but I had a bit of damage on the front of the car. Didn't get it fixed. Opted to stick with it. To be honest, probably only cost me about 2 or 3 tenths a lap. But you know, when you've got guys like Fury and Dan up ahead of you, that can make all the difference. Pit stop was also a little bit shoddy, 6 or 7 seconds in the box, so that also lost me any chance to challenging them.
Another podium though for you in the BMW, and you've looked this season, me and Kelly said it plenty of time, it's great to see you now fighting at sharp end more often than what it was last year in the Ginetta. Do you feel that you've had a proper chance this year to try and push for that title a bit more?
Yeah, it's definitely put us on an even playing field. You know, it's my first season in the car, and I didn't get the benefit of driving a 24-hour race like I did with the Ginetta beforehand. So I'm still learning it. I've done less time in this BMW over the course of this season than I had in the Ginetta before the season had even started. Yeah. So you know, and that car was I can't say the word on stream, but it wasn't very good. And you know, but I managed to get the best out of it down to the practice that I had in it. But this season, the BMW, I've been learning on the job. I did a bit of practice, obviously, before the start of the season. That was what actually set my mind on it. Yeah. But first season, I can't complain too much. I think, I don't know. If I race next season, then I'm sure that I'll have a bit more experience in it, and it'll fare better. But I can't complain.
Going forward to Fuji and Bathurst, what can you do there? More wins on the card, and we'd love to see you back out there in the M6 next year.
Yeah, hopefully Fuji I can get a good result. That's a track that I do like, so yeah, definitely going to be gunning for a possible win. It's been a good night here tonight. First and a third isn't too bad, but I think Dan's pretty much got the championship. He's got it on the barbecue now, and he's just ready to it's very much ready to grasp.
Well, we'll let you get back to it, Andy. Well done tonight though, buddy, and best luck next week.
Thanks, mate. Cheers,
buddy. Dan, second place, a second and a third. As best as you could do tonight, I reckon, because Fury had the edge and Andy had the edge in race 1.
Yeah, not much more I could do with that, really. It was trying to hunt down Fury towards the end. I know he made one mistake. I was just hoping he was making another. But I was quite happy to follow him home. If he'd made another mistake, that would have been more points on Andy. but I still outscored Andy here, and yeah, it was an interesting race nonetheless.
He gained 7 points back on you in the title. You managed to get him done in that second race. 36 points. You need to outscore him. You can wrap up the title next week. Is it one hand on the championship now?
I'll never say never. Like it's always still open. Andy can still catch me. There's still 4 rounds. There's still points up available, and yeah, it's going to be a fight all the way to the end of the season. Including Fury, he's going to be pushing me to the end just for race wins, and he could be separating me and Andy in points. You know, he could get between us. You know, so I have to be wary of everyone, and especially when I'm following drivers like Satu, who was all over the place like a Chuck Me Ferret. Oh my God, I could not find a way through him.
Yeah, you had a great second race, so good fight with Sutty at the end, at that one and at the beginning. Just not the pace for the Porsche tonight. Was you quite surprised by Fury's pace in that second one?
I think the Porsche had pace. BT and Exmar definitely had pace behind me. I just could not get to grips with it. I think it's the first time being back on the wheel. I just was making silly little errors and just wasn't fast tonight. I don't know what it was. But Fury and Andy just had done the better jobs tonight. And unlucky for Fury in race 1, he would have been... he definitely would have been in there. But it's how the season rolls, you know. You can't win them all.
Yeah, indeed. You say... not a lot of time on the wheel. Is that the problem at the minute? Just not that practice on the wheel that you'd normally get, with obviously the operation still affecting you at the minute. Is that the key tonight, to not being at full pace and full capacity, or?
No, not really. I just haven't done a good enough job tonight. I just didn't do enough practice. It obviously doesn't help that the circuit is quite twisty and it can hurt my stomach a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's manageable. But other than that, it's more set up and not really paying attention to settings. I managed to tweak a little few things in the final race to make it a little bit more stable. But other than that, I just haven't done the homework. So.
Going forward then to Fuji and Bathurst, we know you're a lover of Bathurst. What do you feel on next week's track?
I hate Fuji. I think it's boring. Absolutely boring.
Oh.
So let's do my homework there.
Yes.
I don't know how to set the car up to go high downforce or low downforce. I've got to try and make my mind up. But nonetheless, it's going to be strong. The Mercedes is going to be strong down the back straight, but Andy's going to be strong in the BMW. I'm just going to have to take it come one race at a time.
Well, we wish you the best luck, Dan. Good luck for next week.
Thank you, and congrats, Fury, on the race win.
Indeed. So, and Fury, another race win for yourself. That's race win number 19. You're 3 behind Jamie. You're 4 behind Dan now. A better second race than first race, I suppose.
Yeah, in the first race, I was kind of just using my quali setup, obviously keeping the same downforce and just adding the more fuel into it, which I thought would have worked, considering it didn't feel any different at the start. And then that first spin, that was it. It just ruined it completely.
Better race too, though. You had great pace in qualifying, great pace in that race. Just what a shame, isn't it, that you're now not in that championship running? Is it now the fact that you can't win the title at all? Is it a case now of, well, the gloves are off now, I've got nothing to lose, I'm just going to give it everything to win the races?
I'm definitely going to be pushing a lot harder to try and still secure second in the championship, because I'm pretty sure there's enough races left to get over Andy. But it's just try and keep it more consistent and not have any incidents like I did in race 1.
Into Fuji next week then. Dan says it's good for the Merc round that back straight. Do you like Fuji? What can you do there?
The last time I was at Fuji was in the GTR, and
yes,
it was pretty decent around there in the GTR, but obviously the Merc's a whole different car. I don't think it's going to be doing any 360s like the GTR did, but we'll see.
Well done tonight, mate. Commiserations for race 1, but well done in race 2. Great win for yourself. Kieran, any final words from you?
Yeah, good night racing overall. Obviously, some interesting battles throughout. And it's going to get interesting next week with the title on the line almost.
Title on the line, and as we go to Fuji then at 38 points. 36 points left in it. If Dan can outscore Andy by enough margin, Dan will win it. He won't win it in race 1 because he's only 27 up for grabs, but 54 in the night. Dan's got to score 20 odd points more than Andy to win the title. Andy just can't. He can stay in it for Bathurst, but what does Dan do? Is it one hand on the championship? Is it not? Kieran, your driver of the day just before we go.
I'd say BT Targa being consistently up there with all three. I know he finished 4th in race 2, but obviously coming back for the pack as well.
All right. I'm going to give it to Andy because I think Andy, a first and a third, has been cracking tonight. Smithy says Andy, no other people saying that. So Andy gets the driver of the day. But Dan, one hand on the title. What can he do going into next week at Fuji? We'll be back next Wednesday and Thursday. Thanks for Kieran tonight for all his help in the commentary box. It'll be Sweet and Sticky back Thursday night, 8 p.m. GMT, and it'll be Sweet and Sexy or Sweet and Sicky in your box next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. GMT for that. Around the Fuji circuit. We'll see you next week. Good night.